Comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robeanne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Prime Minister Holness files leave to apply for judicial review of Integrity Commission's report about his statutory declarations.
The Prime Minister accuses the Commission of several breaches, including procedural fairness, illegality, and abuse of power and discretion.
Opposition walks out of the House after attempts to table no confidence motion against the Prime Minister fail.
JLP MP-elect Matthew Samuda calls on Labourites to begin the work of spreading the Holness administration's record of achievements.
Prime Minister Holness praises the Indian government for helping Jamaica in its efforts to create a technologically competent workforce.
In news from the rest of the world, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran will pay a price for its missile barrage on Israel.
In headline sports, West Indies women beaten by Australia in final warm-up ahead of T20 World Cup of Cricket.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the Bank of Jamaica has further reduced its key interest rate by 25 basis points to 6.5%. What does this mean for you and businesses? President of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Sidney Thwaites, and economist Keenan Faulkner will tell us.
Also in the cover story, opposition MPs walk out of Parliament after Mark Golding's no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister is thwarted. You'll hear what happened.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, what's your reaction to Prime Minister Holness taking the Integrity Commission to court? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
And from 7 till 8 this evening, it's Nature's Remedies with Dr. Denise Daly. Tonight's topic, Portulace.
At 8, it's Prescription for Life with Dr. Andre McDonald.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, jm.com, and on the Nationwide app available in Google Play and the App Store. This Tuesday afternoon, it's Tuesday, October 1, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by KFC's Big Deal. Order through carry-out, drive-through, delivery, WhatsApp, or the new KFC Jamaica mobile app. KFC Big Deal. Anything for the taste.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The standoff between the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, and the Integrity Commission concerning his uncertified statutory declarations has taken a major turn. The Prime Minister has gone to the Supreme Court to seek judicial review of the actions, non-actions, and comments made by the Commission and two of its directors, Craig Beresford and Director of Information and Complaints, and as well as Director Kevon Stevenson, Director of Investigations. The move by Holness relates to the contents of two reports tabled in Parliament and which concern his statutory declarations. The first report is dated August 30, 2024, and the second September 5, 2024. We have more in this report from George Davis.
The application filed on behalf of Prime Minister Holness by his attorneys Henlin Gibson Henlin is stamped September 30, 2024, Civil Division, Supreme Court. It names Holness and three of his companies, Imperium Holdings Limited, Positive Media Solutions, and Positive Jamaica Foundation, as the three applicants. The three companies named are the same three flagged by the Integrity Commission as the subject of further investigation. The IC has declared publicly it wants the probe to be done by Tax Administration Jamaica, TAJ, and the Financial Investigations Division, FID. Beresford, Stevenson, and the Integrity Commission are the three respondents. Holness's attorneys have set down 30 points on which they are seeking judicial review. Among them, that Craig Beresford and or the Commission failed to or refused to certify his declarations for 2021 and 22, and or provide reasons for being unable to certify them. That Kevin Stevenson carried out an investigation into the Prime Minister's declarations for 2022 and 2023, although there was no referral for an investigation by Craig Beresford. Holness's lawyers want a judicial review into Kevin Stevenson's finding or decision that the Prime Minister's lawful objection to the request for his detailed expenses is a refusal to provide information, which then inhibited Stevenson's ability to make a comprehensive and final assessment of the Prime Minister's assets, liabilities, and income. They want a review of Stevenson's decision to, in their words, usurp the functions of the court and unlawfully pierce the corporate veil of Imperium Holdings Limited, which, according to them, is a separate legal person in law. They say Stevenson thereafter commingled the assets of the Prime Minister and that of Imperium, and then ascribed to both a combined net worth of $1.9 million for 2022. Holness's lawyers also want judicial review of the decision to continue or keep the investigation open in relation to the Prime Minister's declarations for 2021, notwithstanding findings or conclusions that for the year 2021, there was negative net worth of $10.4 million. This means there was no unexplained growth in the Prime Minister's net worth, which according to the numbers, actually declined by the said $10.4 million. Holness's attorneys also want judicial review of the act or decision to recommend the referral to TAJ and FID, two of the three companies linked to Holness. Holness's lawyers want the court to rule on the failure by Kevin Stevenson and the Integrity Commission to recommend and or issue a public exoneration of culpability at the point where it ended its investigation into the Prime Minister's declarations for 2021. His lawyers complained to the court that what Stevenson and the IC then proceeded to do was improperly include details of that 2021 probe in the report dated August 30, 2024, an act which they feel robbed Holness of benefiting from being freed of guilt. The filing on Holness's behalf, which runs for 22 pages, goes deep. It sets out 69 grounds on which judicial review is being sought under the headings breach of natural justice and procedural fairness, constitutional breaches, irrationality and unreasonableness, abuse of power, abuse of discretion, illegality, and acting ultra vires. The action by Holness marks the first time the Prime Minister has publicly gone on the front foot to counteract on an issue that has seen him bleed political capital and give Jamaicans cause to question his integrity. George Davis for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has made damning claims against the Integrity Commission, Kevin Stevenson and Craig Beresford in his application for judicial review. Siobhan Campbell reports.
The law firm Henlin Gibson Henlin set down 69 grounds on which the Prime Minister moved to seek judicial review into the report of investigations into his statutory declarations. Point 50 is particularly damning. Holness's lawyers say the tabling of the report was done in bad faith to prejudice and harm him, given that the entire scheme of the Integrity Commission Act is to ensure confidentiality and secure fairness for those who are being legitimately investigated. The big question about whether or not Holness knew he was being probed for illicit enrichment is also dealt with in the 69 grounds for action. At point 42, his lawyers say he was not given the background in relation to the alleged irregularities that were being investigated and was not told the proportion or sum by which his assets were disproportionate to his income. They say he therefore could not fairly and accurately respond to matters that concern the subject matter of the investigation. Holness's lawyers then deal with what they describe as the misuse of the Prime Minister's private information. They accuse the Integrity Commission of disclosing Holness's private information in a manner that is prejudicial to his rights and bringing him into public odium. Public odium is defined as the hatred, disapproval, or dislike that the public feels for a person, usually due to something the person has done. The lawyers also raised the issue of a report from an international forensics expert who spent 6 months poring over the details of Holness's finances. They say Holness was entitled to see and respond to any adverse findings and benefit from any advantageous findings in that report. They say that Holness was not provided with a copy of the report. They accuse the Integrity Commission of broadening the scope of the investigation and setting a moving target for the Prime Minister to hit. Holness's lawyers say the investigation into his 2022 and 2023 statutory declarations was nothing more than a fishing expedition. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
And chaos erupted in Parliament Tuesday afternoon as members of the opposition staged a walkout following a ruling by Deputy Speaker of the House, Heroy Clark. The dramatic turn of events occurred after Clark blocked opposition leader Mark Golding's attempt to table a motion against Prime Minister Holness concerning his statutory declarations. Citing a breach of standing orders, the Deputy Speaker ruled that the matter was sub judice, meaning it was now before the courts. This sparked an uproar. Mahiri Stewart tells us more.
As Parliament turned to members' motions, House Speaker Juliet Holness, who is also the Prime Minister's wife, recused herself from the chamber. Deputy Speaker Clark then assumed the Speaker's chair. He initially allowed Opposition Leader Mark Golding to introduce his motion, but Mr. Golding's efforts were swiftly interrupted by MP Pernell Charles Jr.
Mr. Speaker, whereas there is a ministerial code of conduct in place from 2002 that governs the conduct of members of the Cabinet, and whereas the Prime Minister did not inform the people of Jamaica that he was being investigated by the Integrity.
Member, please.
I don't even need to hear another word. If the member in any way intends to go down a road that is going to breach the standing orders in raising matters, let me just say it before, that are sub judice, that cannot be accommodated in this House. So if that is the route,
Charles Jr.'s objection was upheld by the Deputy Speaker. He declared Mr. Golding's motion inadmissible because it's now before the courts.
I am saying because there is, when I read from the Erskine May Parliamentary Practice, paragraph 2, page 333, matters awaiting judicial decisions, that the motion relates to a matter that is now before the court, and if it is, because there is a matter now under judicial consideration, it ought not to be discussed as it is sub judice. At this time, I am now ruling that this motion will not be entertained.
Despite Mr. Golding's persistent attempts to argue his case, Clark stood firm in his ruling. This left the opposition frustrated. And in a final act of defiance, opposition members walked out of the chamber in protest.
What this motion engages is simply a matter of a breach of the ministerial code of conduct by the Prime Minister. That is not a matter.
Member,
Upon returning to the chamber, House Speaker Holness explained her absence.
A signed copy of the motion came to me at the desk when Member Paulwell came to the desk during the sitting of the Parliament. And I just came out for a moment a while ago and I note the opposition walking out. I was coming back to tell them I had gone out because I was just completing my review so that they could go ahead and debate if they so choose. However, even though they heard as much, they continued to walk out.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Mr. Charles Jr. slammed the opposition for what he saw as an attempt to misuse the Parliament to make headlines.
Madam Speaker, it is unfortunate that the opposition, and I say this with all seriousness, because Jamaica is watching us. It is so unfortunate that the opposition has chosen to walk out on this issue. The opposition is led by an attorney at law who is fully aware that there is no ambiguity in the rule of sub judice. It is a rule that is essential in preventing interference in legal proceedings and preventing the risk of undermining the fairness of any trial or any matter that is before the court being adjudicated.
The government MP says the PNP will seek power at any cost, even the integrity of the parliament.
But what will happen is that they will use it as a tool to attempt to cause persons looking on to think that there is an effort to block the motion. And that is what is unfortunate, the continuous effort to manipulate the minds of Jamaican people. And what I find disgusting is the discussions around integrity by persons who are willing to break down the integrity of this court proceedings for their own pursuit of power. In the pursuit of power, they are willing to breach, destroy, and cast away the rules, the standing orders, the law, anything that has to be done. Tear down people, mash up the country's reputation, all because of the pursuit of power.
Pernell Charles Jr., Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon.
Still ahead, 4 shot and killed in Westmoreland last night. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. Stay with us.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
16 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 out west in Montego Bay.
Imagine opening a bank account without ever leaving your home. Well, at CIBC Caribbean, we've changed the game. Open a new CIBC savings or checking account completely online using your computer or phone, anywhere, anytime. No need to visit the bank, no waiting in line. Just apply, verify, and sign your documents, all online. It's secure, seamless, and 100% digital. Open your new CIBC account by applying online today.
Continuing the news, in a statement a short while ago, the opposition People's National Party says its motion in Parliament underscores a pressing need for accountability and ethical governance in Jamaica. It says the motion cites a serious breach of the Ministerial Code of Conduct established in 2002, which mandates transparency and ethical standards from members of the Cabinet. The PNP says the Prime Minister has come under scrutiny for failing to disclose his investigation by the Integrity Commission.
In other news now, a dark day in the fight against crime in Westmoreland. That's how the commanding officer of the Westmoreland Police Division, Superintendent Othniel Dobson, is describing the killing of 4 men and the injuring of 4 patrons that is, at a bar in New Roads, Bethel Town in the parish last night. The dead have been identified as 41-year-old Damien Baker, O'Dane Scott, otherwise called Moses, and Rocky Lawrence. The 4th man has been identified as Ashane Spence, otherwise known as Future or Pa. They're all of New Roads District, Leamington. Reports are that at about 10:20 last night, patrons were gathered at the bar when a black Fielder motorcar drove up and several armed men alighted. Superintendent Dobson says Spence was one of the perpetrators of the attack.
A tragic and senseless act of violence last night, leaving 4 individuals dead and 4 others nursing gunshot injuries in what could only be categorized as an act of terror by gunmen. The incident occurred at 10:20 p.m. at a bar in the area where an unpermitted event was being held. Report is indicating that a motor car drove into the area from which 4 armed men alighted and started firing indiscriminately at patrons at the bar. When the shooting subsided, 4 individuals were dead, including one Ashane Spence, OC Future, who was also a perpetrator in this incident. He was shot and killed by his cronies. 8.54 cartridges was found in his pocket.
Superintendent Dobson says information suggests that an illegal firearm was taken from the scene.
We are appealing to those involved in hiding or removing the firearm from the scene to immediately turn it over to the police. Every effort must be made to remove illegal guns from our streets, especially when they are connected with acts of violence. This is a devastating tragedy for the New Roads community and for the family who are now mourning the loss of their loved one. We understand your pain that comes with losing family members under such tragic and horrific circumstances, and we stand with you during your period of grief. The police is actively investigating the matter, and all resources are being utilized to bring the perpetrators to justice. The incident marks a dark moment in the fight against gun violence in Westmoreland, a parish that has achieved marked reduction in murders and other categories of violent crimes.
Superintendent Othniel Dobson.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has praised the Indian government for assisting Jamaica in its efforts to create a technologically competent workforce. Prime Minister Holness was speaking in India at a joint media briefing with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday. He expressed his gratitude on behalf of the hundreds of Jamaicans who've benefited from Indian initiatives based on digital education.
As Jamaica continues its development journey, we must urgently build our human capital to ensure that we can thrive and succeed in a technology-driven world. We are therefore grateful for the scholarships and high-quality training provided by the Government of India under the iTech program, from which hundreds of Jamaica nationals have benefited over the years.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran will pay a price for its missile barrage on the State of Israel late Tuesday. Nearly 200 missiles were launched by Iran in a late-night attack on Israel. The U.S. says it fired approximately a dozen interceptors at the missiles, but Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard said 90% of the missiles it launched hit their targets successfully. The statement broadcast on state TV said the attack targeted air and radar bases as well as security apparatus that planned the killing of senior Hamas and Hezbollah figures. No serious injuries were reported, and Israeli authorities have advised civilians to leave bomb shelters.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour. Prime Minister Holness files leave to apply for judicial review of Integrity Commission's report on his statutory declarations.
The Prime Minister accuses the Commission of several breaches, including procedural fairness, illegality, and abuse of power and discretion.
Opposition walks out of the House this afternoon after attempts to table no confidence motion against the Prime Minister fail.
And whereas the Prime Minister did not inform the people of Jamaica that he was being investigated by the Integrity.
I don't even need to hear another word.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness praises the Indian government for helping Jamaica in its efforts to create a technologically competent workforce.
I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next. The headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by KFC's Big Deal. Order through carry-out, drive-through, delivery, WhatsApp, or the new KFC Jamaica mobile app. KFC Big Deal. Anything for the taste.
Make lasting impressions.
Register now for the Make Your Mark Business and Personal Etiquette Conference set for October 30 at the Jamaica Pegasus. Sponsored by Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Monographic Printers, JPS, Nationwide News Network, Supply County, Jamaica Broilers Group, From Thought to Finish, Intelligent Multimedia Limited, Visual Tech Solutions, the Jamaica Observer, and Main Event Group. Come make your mark and attend the Business and Personal Etiquette Conference October 30. Call 876-978-6001 or visit www.makeyourmarkgroup.com now to register.
Quick Cart is a new click. Get convenience at your fingertips. The reliable way to get your order quick. Any store or restaurants for your food fix. Quick Cart is a new click for sure. Click efficiency waiting in your app store. More than the plate, we're bringing you more. Order online and get it straight to your door. Tell a friend. Quick Cart is a new click. Tell them better make this one stick. Quick Cart delivery at the right pick. Good customer service of a good thing. Now serving Kingston and Montego Bay. Visit quickcartonline.com.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Nationwide Sports understands that Ochias High School has been docked to 6 points from their tally in the current Da Costa Cup campaign. Our sports department reached out to the Intersecondary School Sports Association a short while ago for confirmation. However, they say they'll be putting out a press release on the matter in short order, and as soon as we get that, we'll bring it to you. Meanwhile, defending champions Mona were locked at 1-1 with Jonathan Grant in the Issa Digicel Manning Cup. In other updates, Kingston College, they lead Penwood High School by 6-0. St. Catherine High School were holding a 3-0 lead over Holy Trinity. All the other games are goalless, and that includes a campaign against Cumberland, Tarrant against Gainsted, Charlie Smith versus Waterford, Camperdown versus Kingston Tech, and Jose Marti against Meadowbrook. In the Issa Water Da Costa Cup, Cornwall College just beat Malden by 2-1. English Premier League campaigners Arsenal beat French champions Paris Saint-Germain 2-0 at the Emirates in London in the big game at the start of match day 2 in the European Champions League today. Kai Havertz and stand-in captain Bukayo Saka scored first half goals to put the Gunners in charge, a lead they held until the end.
Trossard scooping in the cross and Havertz scored. Arsenal in front inside 20 minutes. It's a great ball into the box from Trossard and a brave header from Havertz. As Saka delivers, here they come, flick at the near post, it's in!
Former champions Manchester City also had a relatively easy afternoon after seeing off Slovan Bratislava 4-0 away.
Got Foden and Haaland in the middle, he misses both of them, and then he comes in from Savini on the volley, and then Gundogan, and it's deflected in, and Ilkay Gundogan gets his first goal since returning to Manchester City. He's the captain tonight, and that's a special moment for him. Phil Foden looking to place it, brilliant finish. Off goes Haaland through the middle, this should be another one. Haaland's in, around the goalkeeper, and scores, and that's 42 Champions League goals now for Erling Haaland. Lewis, Foden. In it goes again. Manchester City get a fourth, and that's absolutely thumped in by James McAtee.
Karim Adeyemi bagged a hat-trick for Borussia Dortmund in their 7-1 thrashing of Celtic. Inter Milan were too good for Zvena Zvezda. 4-0. Victor Boniface scored the lone goal as the German champions Bayer Leverkusen beat AC Milan of Italy 1-0. In other games, Robert Lewandowski scored a brace for FC Barcelona. They beat Young Boys 5-0, while VfB Stuttgart and Sparta Prague, they played out a 1-1 draw. West Indies women suffered their second defeat in ICC T20 warm-up, and they lost by 35 runs to the defending champions Australia and Dubai this morning after restricting the Aussies to 144 for 8 in their 20 overs. The Windies were bowled out for 109 in 17 overs and 2 balls. Captain Hayley Matthews 42 and Kiana Joseph 36 were the stars. They were the only 2 batters in the West Indies team to get into double figures. Alana King 4 for 30 and Kayla Valenmick 33 for 33 took most wickets for Australia. Earlier, Annabella Sutherland made 38, Ashley Gardner 31, King 21 not out, and the captain Alea Haley, she made 20, and they made most runs for the Australians in their 144. Alia Alain and Afi Fletcher took 2 wickets apiece for the West Indies, who will open their campaign at the World Cup on Thursday with a showdown against South Africa, and that game is in Group B. India completed a remarkable 7-wicket win over Bangladesh on the final day of a rain-hit second test in Kanpur to seal a 2-0 series victory. The win was set up by a record-breaking performance with the bat on day 4 and means they now won 18 games, the Indians, in 18 home test series on the spin, extending the record they already held. Jasprit Bumrah, Ravichandran Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja each took 3 wickets as Bangladesh was kittled out for 146 before lunch on Tuesday, leaving India needing 95 to win. Opener Yashasvi Jaiswal, 51, his second half century of the match. India comfortably chased down the target to secure victory in a match that lost 2.5 days to rain. They now lead Australia at the top of the World Test Championship by 8 points. India set the platform for victory during a record-breaking 4th day that saw them becoming the fastest team to reach 50, 100, 150 and 200 as well as 250 in tests. It is India's first test series since the appointment of former opener Gautam Gambhir as their new head coach. And that's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you. The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:31.
Tie your laces, put on something purple, and support the CIBC Caribbean Walk for the Cure. Join us at Hope Gardens on Sunday, October 6th at 6 a.m. We're walking, running, and moving in the fight against cancer. Sign up today at runningeventsja.com. Registration fee $3,000 includes your Walk for the Cure t-shirt while supplies last. CIBC Walk for the Cure, Sunday, October 6th, 6 a.m. at Hope Gardens. All proceeds in aid of the Jamaica Cancer Society.
Azen Super Center in Midtown Crossroads, a place you've come to know and trust for quality and the best prices. Now, come see our expanded range of products, fine furnishings, kitchenware, your smart TVs, and all things electronics, and the latest in curtains, bed linen, and bathroom accessories. It's the new and expanded Azen Super Center in Midtown Crossroads with convenient, safe, and free parking. Shop with a smile at Azen Super Center.
Don't miss Info Exchange's Business Cloud Forum, October 1 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Global technology leaders, Nutanix, IBM, HPE Aruba, Zerto, and Exagrid will be here sharing insights and live demos. Discover how AI is reshaping industries and increasing efficiencies. Learn proven technologies to build operational resilience and protect your business from disruption. Register now at infoexchangeja.com. Info Exchange, smart technology, better business.
The 5% Club is now taking new members. Sounds exclusive? We don't want it to be. You see, it's made up of less than 5% of women who get screened for breast cancer in our country each year. At Sagicor, we've made it our mission to help to change the statistics. In fact, with 5,000 more women getting screened, we can officially become the 6% Club. And we won't stop there. So please get checked. Early detection saves lives. Go to bit.ly/5% Club JA.
From time immemorial, it's been said even some of the wisest men in the Bible had many wives. But Western ways want to warn women against accepting that teaching. Still, there are many men today who aspire to be Solomon, but can't find partners who agree. So why do some women decide to stalk, confront, message, argue, and even go to war with other women who share their space and time? Isn't it better to leave what you can't manage or discuss it with the man of the moment? Work it out or leave the work. Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic: why do mating hens fight over the rooster?
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Well, a cover story this afternoon, the Bank of Jamaica cutting interest rates, as well as what took place in your House of Representatives this afternoon. We're going to begin with the Bank of Jamaica, the central bank, further reducing its interest rate by 25 basis points to 6.75%. That becomes effective today.
6.5.
6.5. What did I say? 6.75. Sorry, 6.5. Thank you.
The decision was made at a recent meeting of the bank's Monetary Policy Committee. The BOJ, in announcing the decision, says it anticipates point-to-point inflation to fall back within target range of 4 to 6% over the next 8 quarters. And as at the end of July, inflation was 6.5%.
The BOJ says it expects this to settle within the bank's target range over the forecast horizon, with the exception of the next 2 to 3 months. It says the Jamaican economy over the near term is expected to be affected by the adverse impact of Hurricane Beryl and the lagging effects of monetary policy on spending.
However, the bank projects that real economic activity for the fiscal year is likely to be better than the last forecast due to a less negative estimate of the impact of Hurricane Beryl. Meanwhile, the BOJ says the domestic banking system remains sound with adequate capital and liquidity. It also says the domestic fiscal policy stance continues to pose no risk to inflation over the near term. To discuss further, we'll be joined by President of the Jamaica Manufacturer and Exporters Association, JMEA, Sidney Thwaites, and economist Keenan Faulkner. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Siobhan.
Good afternoon. Let me begin with you, Mr. Thwaites of the Manufacturers and Exporters Association. Your reaction to the 25 basis point cut by the bank, given the fact that they did so a month ago at the end of August by also 25 basis points. Your reaction, are they getting it right?
Absolutely. It's the right thing to do. All the indicators are there. I'm glad we don't have an overreaction over the inflation that was caused, that the hurricane caused. So yes, they're absolutely getting it right.
What about you, Keenan? Are they getting it right?
Yes, I think the Bank of Jamaica, their policy stance is appropriate. I think the fact that they have followed up the last decision with another rate cut of similar magnitude shows that there's a definitive direction that they're heading in terms of the easing of monetary policy. So not only are they indicating that it is going down, but they're doing so in a very gradual manner. So I think the stance overall is very appropriate. I think it signals to the rest of the market, the rest of the economy, that this is the path that we're going to take in the next in the near to medium term. I don't expect, the bank to renege on this decision in light of any other inflationary concerns that might arise over the next couple of months, the seasonality that's associated with Christmas, as well as the possible supply chain disruption that might occur as a result of the strikes on the U.S. East Coast. So I think the Bank of Jamaica has firmly now has realized that inflation has been anchored. Any deviations from it is likely to be very short in duration, not, so serious as to come off of the path that they are now on going forward.
But Sidney Thwaites, 25 basis points cuts twice in a row, they seem to be more nipping at the problem than being rather aggressive, as many private sector people have called for, with more deeper cuts. Are you concerned that they seem to be very, very cautious in how they're doing these reductions?
Yeah, I mean, there is certainly more needed, and we're hoping that this is a start. It's in line with what we've seen in the U.S. The U.S. had a 0.5 point cut and have expressed that they expect more to come. So this can't be the end of it. This we're hoping is a movement in what will be additional cuts to come.
And further to that, the Bank of Jamaica points out that the impact from Hurricane Beryl was not as acute in terms of the economic damage as previously expected. I haven't seen those quarterlies from the PIOJ or Statin yet, but from where you sit as a manufacturer exporter, is that what you're seeing on the ground?
I think it's tough to tell, but we are seeing some weakness in the sector. As you know, in Q1 of 2024, the rate of growth had slowed, and we're expecting to see the same thing in Q2 from what we're hearing from our members. So these rate cuts really need to get in the hands of the consumers. So we're looking for partners on the banking side to really move these through the system as quickly as possible and get them in the hands of consumers and the companies.
And that's where I want to pick up with economist Faulkner. Yes, the BOJ cut the first initial cut a month ago, at the end of August. We're now at the beginning of October, and the banks haven't really moved yet, because this means nothing if for the man who is listening to me as he drives home with his family, the mortgage rates haven't gone down. Yes, the loans at the bank for the business haven't gone down. Those rates haven't moved. Why the hell are we seeing this or having this discussion if we're not seeing it being passed through to the consumer? Keenan?
Historically, the monetary transmission mechanism has been weak. We don't expect
has been what?
Has been very weak historically. And so because of that, you won't see any real movement for at least possibly 6 to 9 months.
What?
And
hold on, Keenan. 6 to 9 months?
Yeah, because, the banks, the financial institution, it's just been a thing whenever rates go up, rates go up in tandem. Whenever they go down, it takes a while for it to be filtered through. And, even some months back, there was a call by the governor to sort of moral suasion for the rates on deposits to go up, just like it went up with loans. So those are that kind of monetary transmission mechanism. The issues that we have historically had to grapple with is the reason why you won't see mortgage rates, for example, car loan rates and other business loan rates, personal loans going down right away. Not to mention the fact that
But what can we do? What can we do as consumers, as customers?
But that's where I want to bring in Sidney Thwaites, because we know what the problem is, Mr. Thwaites. It's just that the banks operate in a sort of cartel situation where they have their own cluster of customers, and there's no real reason for them to compete against each other. So there's no real impetus to reduce interest rates. Isn't that correct?
It's certainly something that we are advocating for. The JMA is advocating for, and we're expecting that we'll see this movement in a faster way. And we certainly need to, like you guys are doing now on your show, we need to keep in front of them and ensure that we're seeing these in the hands of the consumers. Because, like you said, it does absolutely no one any good. If it's not.
But Mr. Thwaites, Mr. Thwaites, you are an important man in this economy. You're the president of the Manufacturers and Exporters Association. You and your members are their biggest customers. Yes? You wield power. Yeah? Why can't we mobilize as consumers to call our bank managers tomorrow and say, listen, a month ago, the central bank cut the rates by 25 basis points. I want movement on my mortgage rate. Whenever it went up, as it did recently, you immediately shoot up my mortgage rate. Immediately. So why can't we get it down now?
Exactly. And we are going to the Banking Association to make sure that we're in the area of all the bankers. And like you say, the pressure needs to be on, and it's got to be watched, and it's got, held accountable, everybody held accountable for those rate cuts. And I would expect that if we're not seeing those in the market, that they'll also hear that out to the BOJ.
I think all of us listening to this program today, we should be calling our bank managers tomorrow, or banking officers, and demanding, that we get the benefit of the cut in rates. We need to call them and say, listen, what the hell is happening? My mortgage went up the moment the rates went up. And now I've been waiting for my mortgage provider to send me a notice to say, listen, now your rate coming down. Over a month. And you're telling me we have to wait 6 to 9 months? Keenan? That can't be right.
No, it's a matter really that I think is best tackled through advocacy and moral suasion. That's really the modus operandi that has happened with matters like this. We see even with prices, it's not just interest rates. When prices go up, they go up immediately, but they're sticky to come downwards if you're in a period of disinflation or deflation. So that is something I think would have to be tackled by the various associations. At the microeconomic level, when you come together at the level of the firm, the household, the individual, and to apply pressure to be able to get it done. So to the fact that the rate has gone down only gradually. If it were more aggressive, like let's say probably 200 basis points, then that would have signaled, something to say this is where we're definitely heading, and the speed and the pace at which monetary policy easing needs to be matched in tandem. I think a lot of institutions probably believe, it's only 25 basis points are not enough to really move the needle.
No, but we're not talking about 25 basis points, so Keenan. In a month, we're talking about 50 basis points.
Right, even 50 might not, be enough to move the needle
away. But on the current trajectory, Keenan Faulkner, in 6 to 9 months, the rate should be down by 2-3 basis points?
But you would hope so that by that time. But it's just whatever the decrease might have been, it just takes a while to filter through, and it's, on average, it tends to be around that time.
But why it not take a little time to filter when it go up by 25, 50 basis points? Why them call you and write you the following week and say, listen, your mortgage rate going up or your loan rate going up? Why not take time to filter when it's going up?
Banks, they want to make make profits.
Also, only them alone must make profit?
That's the reason, which is why
in
a free market economy, the whole idea of advocating
we need greater, more effective consumer advocacy. Yes.
Well, that is definitely a dimension.
And I would say to the listeners, call your bank manager. If your mortgage rate not go down, call him tomorrow or her tomorrow and ask, what is happening to my mortgage rate? Right now, go down. Thank you very much, Keenan Faulkner, Sydney Thwaites. And Sydney Thwaites, you can do more, You have a platform from the JMEA. You know that, right?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. Take care of yourself. Good.
All right.
After the break, the opposition walked out of the House of Representatives this afternoon. You'll hear what happened.
clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
11 minutes to 6.
Upgrade your kitchen and bathroom to the next level with Unique Living. They're the ultimate destination for all your kitchen and bathroom needs. From luxurious shower systems to exquisite faucets, vanities, sinks, toilets, closets, and more. They have it all. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call them at 876-755-3661. Elevate your space with Unique Living, where quality meets expectations.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackhammer. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. In 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Tie your laces, put on something purple, and support the CIBC Caribbean Walk for the Cure. Join us at Hope Gardens on Sunday, October 6th at 6 a.m. We're walking, running, and moving in the fight against cancer. Sign up today at runningeventsja.com. Registration fee $3,000 includes your Walk for the Cure t-shirt while supplies last. CIBC Walk for the Cure, Sunday, October 6th, 6 a.m. at Hope Gardens. All proceeds in aid of the Jamaica Cancer Society.
The 5% Club is now taking new members. Sounds exclusive? We don't want it to be. You see, it's made up of less than 5% of women who get screened for breast cancer in our country each year. At Sagicor, we've made it our mission to help to change the statistics. In fact, with 5,000 more women getting screened, we can officially become the 6% Club. And we won't stop there. So please get checked. Early detection saves lives. Go to bit.ly/5% Club JA.
Nine minutes going up to 6 o'clock. And yes, we are going to try to get a couple of the bankers, the commercial bankers, to answer the question, why is it that they are so slow to respond when the rates come down, but very quick to hike the rates when they go up? Yes, we are going to try and get them. Okay. Well, in Parliament this afternoon, chaos erupted as members of the opposition staged a walkout following a ruling by Deputy Speaker of the House, Heroy Clark. The Deputy Speaker blocked Opposition Leader Mark Golding's attempt to table a no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Andrew Holness concerning his statutory declarations.
As Parliament turned to members' motions, House Speaker Juliet Holness, who is also the Prime Minister's wife, recused herself from the chamber. Deputy Speaker Clark then assumed the Speaker's chair. He initially allowed Opposition Leader Golding to introduce his motion, but Mr. Golding's efforts were swiftly interrupted by MP Pernell Charles Jr.
Mr. Speaker, whereas there is a ministerial code of conduct in place from 2002 that governs the conduct of members of the Cabinet, and whereas the Prime Minister did not inform the people of Jamaica that he was being investigated by the integrity...
Member, please.
I don't even need to hear another word. If the member in any way intends to go down a road that is, you can't understand if you don't listen. Permit yourself to use your ears and not your mouth. Permit yourself to use your ears and not only your mouth. If it is that the member intends to travel down a road that is going to breach the standing orders in raising matters, let me just say it before, that are sub judice. Hold on, I'm just telling you, that cannot be accommodated in this house. So if that is the route, if that is the intention, stop now.
Member, you start on a premise, and as far as the standing order is concerned, I hear the first part of where you're going, and section 20, public business, 22, sorry, notion of motion, amendment and manner of giving notice, section 3. If the speaker is of the opinion that any notice of a motion which has been received by the clerk infringe the provisions of any standing order in any way out of order, he may direct that the member concerned be informed that the notice of motion is out of order, that the notice of motion be entered in the order paper with such alteration as he might direct. Member, I am saying, because there is, when I read from the Erskine May Parliamentary Practice, paragraph 2, page 333, matters awaiting judicial decisions, that the motion relates to a matter that is now before the court, and if it is, because there is a matter now under judicial consideration, it ought not to be discussed as it is sub judice. At this time, I am now ruling that this motion will not be entertained.
That's Heroy Clark, the Deputy Speaker of the House. Well, despite Golding's persistent attempts to argue the case, Clark stood firm in his ruling. This left the opposition frustrated. They then walked out.
Member, if the I just made the I am saying to you, member, if it has anything to do with the matter that I just spoke about, then I'm ruling it out of order. We are not going to entertain it.
Yes, thank you.
No, we don't have to hear it. And if I am going to stop you again if you go down that road.
Mr. Speaker, you've indicated this matter is sub judice. I'm not aware of that. However, what this motion engages is simply a matter of a breach of the ministerial code of conduct by the Prime Minister. That is not a matter.
Member, there's
That was the opposition leader as well as his members walking out of the parliament. However, upon the exit of the opposition, Mrs. Holness returned to the chamber. She was then queried by Southwest St. Catherine MP Everald Warmington if Mr. Golding's motion was properly presented to the House.
Members, I'm not so sure why you descend into such loud discussions. I believe... Go ahead, member.
Madam Speaker, I was trying to get the attention of the Speaker before they left. I'm not going to go to Mace yet because they have left. Is there a signed private member's motion before the House? No, is there a signed private member's motion before the House?
A private member's motion came during the sitting of the House.
Is it signed?
It was signed during the sitting of the House by the member making the motion.
But it was signed during the sitting of the House. But convention is, any such motion must be sent to the clerk of the House 2 days before. And this is what we have been doing all the while. And the gentleman across there, who is supposed to be the leader of that side,
always mention every day, convention, and you want to breach that this today, you can't send resolution or nothing at all during the sitting of the House. The clerk ought to receive that 2 days ago. So it can't be entertained. I won't go to Maze yet. If it was signed before, then I'll go to the Maze where it's concerned. I won't. So it can't be entertained. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't discuss it. It must be ignored, Madam Speaker. It has not reached the rules, regulation is so. It shouldn't be discussed in the first place. It must be ignored. As the value that it is, it must be ignored. Don't reach it.
Member, in response, as you realize, we have, and myself particularly as Speaker, have repeated on many occasions that things need to get to the Parliament with adequate time so that we can read and we can ensure we follow the proper procedures. We were in fact notified by email that a motion would come, but it didn't come until just before I got to Parliament. And it does take some time to review and ensure that motions are properly laid. A signed copy of the motion came to me at the desk when Member Paulwell came to the desk during the sitting of the Parliament. And I just came out for a moment a while ago, and I note the opposition walking out. I was coming back to tell them I'd gone out because I was just completing my review so that they could go ahead and debate if they so choose. However, even though they heard as much, they continued to walk out.
Juliet Holness, the Speaker of the House. Well, it's 6 o'clock. We have to leave it there, but we had further presentations from Pernell Charles Jr. and the Justice Minister Delroy Chuck. The opposition walked out, and we have a statement from the opposition leader, Mark Golding. We're going to give you that later in the program. All right, so later in the program, you'll hear from Pernell Charles, Delroy Chuck, and Mark Golding later in the program. It's now time for the headlines.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Norige Banton. Chaos erupted in Parliament Tuesday afternoon as members of the opposition staged a walkout following a ruling by Deputy Speaker of the House, Heroy Clark. The dramatic turn of events occurred after Clark blocked opposition leader Mark Golding's attempt to table a motion against Prime Minister Andrew Holness concerning his statutory declarations. Citing a breach of standing orders, the Deputy Speaker ruled that the matter was sub judice, meaning it was now before courts. This sparked an uproar. As Parliament turned to members' motions, House Speaker Juliet Holness, who is also the Prime Minister's wife, recused herself from the chamber. Deputy Speaker Clark then assumed the Speaker's chair. He initially allowed Opposition Leader Golding to introduce his motion, but Mr. Golding's effort was swiftly interrupted by MP Pernell Charles Jr.
Mr. Speaker, whereas there is a ministerial code of conduct in place from 2002 that governs the conduct of members of the Cabinet, and whereas the Prime Minister did not inform the people of Jamaica that he was being investigated by the Integrity
Please. I don't even need to hear another word. If the member in any way intends to go down a road that is going to breach the standing orders in raising matters, let me just say it before, that are sub judice, that cannot be accommodated in this house. So if that is the route,
And earlier that sentence should have read, citing a breach of standing orders, the Deputy Speaker ruled that the matter was sub judice. Charles Jr.'s objection was upheld by the Deputy Speaker. He declared Mr. Golding's motion inadmissible because it's now before the courts.
I am saying because there is, when I read from the Erskine May Parliamentary Practice, paragraph 2, page 333, matters awaiting judicial decisions, that the motion relates to a matter that is now before the court. And if it is, because there is a matter now under judicial consideration, it ought not to be discussed as it is sub judice. At this time, I am now ruling that this motion will not be entertained.
Despite Mr. Golding's persistent attempts to argue his case, Clark stood firm in his ruling. This left the opposition frustrated, and in a final act of defiance, opposition members walked out of the chamber in protest. Meanwhile, Mr. Charles Jr. slammed the opposition for what he saw as an attempt to misuse the parliament to make headlines.
Madam Speaker, it is unfortunate that the opposition, and I say this with all seriousness, because Jamaica is watching us. It is so unfortunate that the opposition has chosen to walk out on this issue. The opposition is led by an attorney at law who is fully aware that there is no ambiguity in the rule of sub judice. It is a rule that is essential in preventing interference in legal proceedings and preventing the risk of undermining the fairness of any trial or any matter that is before the court being adjudicated.
The government MP says the PNP will seek power at any cost, even the integrity of the parliament.
But what will happen is that they will use it as a tool to attempt to cause persons looking on to think that there is an effort to block the motion. And that is what is unfortunate, the continuous effort to manipulate the minds of Jamaican people. And what I find disgusting is the discussions around integrity by persons who are willing to break down the integrity of this court proceeding for their own pursuit of power. In the pursuit of power, they are willing to breach, destroy, and cast away the rules, the standing orders, the law, anything that has to be done. Tear down people, mash up the country's reputation, all because of the pursuit of power.
Parnell Charles Jr., Member of Parliament for South East Clarendon. In the meantime, in a statement this evening, the opposition PNP says its motion underscores a pressing need for accountability and ethical governance in Jamaica. It says the motion cites a serious breach of the Ministerial Code of Conduct established in 2002, which mandates transparency and ethical standards from members of the cabinet. The PNP says the Prime Minister has come under scrutiny for failing to disclose his investigation by the Integrity Commission. In other news, a dark day in the fight against crime in Westmoreland. That's how Commanding Officer of the Westmoreland Police Division, Superintendent Othniel Dobson, has described the killing of 4 men and the injuring of 4 patrons at a bar in New Roads, Betheltown in the parish on Monday night. The deceased have been identified as 41-year-old Tyler Damian Baker, O'Dane Scott, otherwise called Moses, and Rocky Lawrence. The 4th man has been identified as Shane Spence, otherwise known as Future or Pa. They are all of New Roads District in Leamington. Reports are that At about 10:20 Monday night, patrons were gathered at the bar when a black Fielder motor car drove up and several armed men alighted. Superintendent Dobson says Spence was one of the perpetrators of the incident.
A tragic and senseless act of violence last night, leaving 4 individuals dead and 4 others nursing gunshot injuries in what could only be categorized as an act of terror by gunmen. The incident occurred at 10:20 p.m. at a bar in the area where an unpermitted event was being held. Report is indicating that a motor car drove into the area from which 4 armed men alighted and started firing indiscriminately at patrons at the bar. When the shooting subsided, 4 individuals were dead, including one Ashade Spence, OC Future, who was also a perpetrator in this incident. He was shot and killed by his cronies. 8.54 cartridges was found in his pocket.
Superintendent Dobson, head of the Westmoreland Police Division. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
We a big deal when we touch ground. Yeah, I can't see when we're pulling up. Anything for the taste what we love. Barbecue, spicy and original, flavorful, crispy, irresistible. 3-piece with the fries and a Pepsi. Go get your one big deal, stop stress me. All when we dip on the toilet, not left feet.
Anything for the taste of a juicy, crunchy, irresistible KFC big deal. 3 pieces of delicious chicken, fries and Pepsi. KFC, it's finger licking good.
You can have it all. Company events, birthday parties, or the wedding of your dreams. It's all possible at Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts. We have magnificent event rooms and a dedicated team that will make your event the best experience that only Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts can offer. Contact us at 876-619-0000 or call your favorite travel agency and ask about our promotion designed especially for you.
Imagine opening a bank account without ever leaving your home. Well, at CIBC Caribbean, we've changed the game. Open a new CIBC savings or checking account completely online using your computer or phone, anywhere, anytime. No need to visit the bank, no waiting in line. Just apply, verify, and sign your documents, all online. It's secure, seamless, and 100% digital. Open your new CIBC account by applying online today.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Nationwide Sports understands that Ocho-Rios High School has been docked to 6 points from their tally in the current Da Costa Cup campaign. Our sports department reached out to the Intersecondary School Sports Association to get some confirmation on this. They say they'll be putting out a press release on the matter shortly. Meanwhile, defending champions Mona, they played out a 1-1 draw with Jonathan Grant in the Issa Digicel Manning Cup. And the last time we heard, the Kingston College score was 6-0 over Penwood. St. Catherine High School, they beat Holy Trinity by 5-1. And in the Issa Water, the Costa Cup, Cornwall College defeated Malden 2-1. And William Nibbs topped Discover Bay by 4-0. English Premier League campaigners Arsenal beat French side Paris Saint-Germain 2-0 at the Emirates in London in the big game at the start of match day 2 in the European Champions League today. Kai Havertz and standing captain Bukayo Saka scored the first half goals to put the Gunners in charge, a lead they held until the end.
Trossard scooping in the cross and Havertz scored! Arsenal in front inside 20 minutes. It's a great ball into the box from Trossard and a brave header from Havertz. As Saka delivers, here they come, flick at the near post, it's in!
Former champions Manchester City also had a relatively easy afternoon after seeing off Slovan Bratislava 4-0 away.
Got Foden and Haaland in the middle, he misses both of them, and then he comes in from Savini on the volley, and then Gundogan, and it's deflected in, and Ilkay Gundogan gets his first goal since returning to Manchester City. He's the captain tonight, and that's a special moment for him. Phil Foden looking to place it, brilliant finish. Off goes Haaland through the middle, this should be another one. Haaland's in, around the goalkeeper, and scores, and that's 42 Champions League goals now for Erling Haaland. Lewis, Foden. In it goes again. Manchester City get a fourth, and that's absolutely thumped in by James McAtee.
And Karim Adeyemi bagged a hat-trick for Borussia Dortmund in their 7-1 thrashing of Celtic. Inter Milan were too good for Crvena Zvezda 4-0. Victor Boniface scored the lone goal as German champions Bayer Leverkusen beat AC Milan of Italy by 1-0. In other games today, Robert Lewandowski scored a brace of Barcelona to beat Young Boys 5-0, and VfB Stuttgart and Sparta Prague, they played out a 1-1 draw. Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes has avoided a ban after the club successfully appealed against his red card in Sunday's loss to Tottenham Hotspur. The 30-year-old was shown a straight red for a foul on Spurs midfielder James Maddison and would have faced a 3-match suspension for serious foul play. However, United successfully argued that the decision to send him off was wrong, and Fernandes will now be available for his team's forthcoming Premier League fixtures against Aston Villa, Brentford and West Ham United. Eric Ten Hag's side were 1-0 down when Fernandes was sent off and proceeded to lose a 3-0 in their third league defeat of the campaign. The West Indies women's team will now open their campaign on Thursday at the T20 Women's World Cup. They take on South Africa in a Group B game in Dubai, and the Windies closed off their match preparation today with a defeat by 35 runs to Australia, the defending world champions, in a warm-up game also in Dubai. After restricting Australia to 144 for 8 in their 20 overs, the Windies were bowled out for 109 in 17 overs and 2 balls. On the captain, Hayley Matthews 42 and Kiana Joseph 36 got into double figures. Alana King and Taylor Valmernick got wickets for Australia. King got 4, Valmernick got 3. Earlier, Annabella Sutherland made 38. Ashley Gardner 31, King 21 not out, and the captain Alisa Healy 20 made most runs for the Aussies. The Duhaney Park Red Sharks beat the JDF Warriors 17-16 in the final of the Rugby League Jamaica National Club Championships at UA Bowl. This was the Red Sharks' 8th straight hold on the title, and their coach, Roy Calvert, says the experience gave them the victory.
This is actually, our 8th championship in a row. We have a bunch of players who have been here before, and they just know how to deal with tight situation. But take nothing from the Warriors. They actually led for a majority of the first half. But again, I'm just proud that my boys were able to dig in and come out with the victory.
And Calvert says they didn't play at their best, even though they won.
I would be lying if I say, I wasn't worried, but I'm not sure that's the word that you would use. But for me, it was one of our worst technical games for the season. I think the JDF just did not allow it to play. They were very disruptive. They were very aggressive. They were clinical in the execution of their game plan, while we were just never able to settle into ours. This is the 8th time in a row we have been here. And thank you to national player, Siobhan Grinning, Bailey, who was able to come up with that winning point.
That's Roy Calvert. Seattle Seahawks were beaten for the first time this season as Jared Goff starred in a 42-29 victory for the Detroit Lions, and Goff completed all 18 of his pass attempts, the most in an NFL game, without an incompletion, including 2 for touchdowns. The quarterback also scored his first career receiving touchdown. Seahawks head coach Dan Campbell says he had no idea he was a perfect scorer.
I knew he played a heck of a game. I did not realize he was perfect. I did not know he was literally 18 for 18. But I knew he played really well. You could feel it. And he really found his rhythm early. And I thought he was seeing the field, played with rhythm. He had to move a little bit in the pocket. I thought what really kick-started him is he had to kind of move in the pocket, got spun around, and hung with J-Mo and hit him on the hook for the first down. It was big, man, because he was rolling after that.
Dan Campbell. The result leaves both teams at 3-1 for the season. And that will do it for sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:18.
Drive Hyundai. Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
Looking to add a touch of elegance to your room? The Lighting World by Fosrich is having a massive lighting blowout sale. Get your wall lamps, chandeliers, ceiling lamps, fans, and more at amazingly low prices. Sale begins Sunday, September 29, with up to 50% off selected items. It's the Fosrich Lighting Blowout Sale, September 29. Shop and save only at Fosrich. Open Sundays.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for staying tuned with us. Yes, we invite you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. It's a matter that of great public interest, I would think, yes. The standoff between the Prime Minister Andrew Holness, and the Integrity Commission, yes, concerning his uncertified statutory declarations, has taken a major turn. The Prime Minister has gone to the Supreme Court to seek judicial review of the actions, non-actions and comments made by the Commission and two of its directors in particular, Craig Beresford, the Director of Information and Complaints, as well as Kevin Stevenson, a Director of Investigations. Now, the move by Holness relates to the contents of two reports tabled in Parliament, and they concern, of course, his statutory declarations. The first report was dated August 30, 2024, and the second, September 5, 2024. The filing on Holness's behalf, which runs for 22 pages, it goes deep. Yes, 22 pages. It sets out 69 grounds on which judicial review is being sought under the headings breach of natural justice and procedural fairness, constitutional breaches, irrationality, and unreasonableness, abuse of power, as well as abuse of discretion and illegality. Now, the action by Holness marks the first time the Prime Minister is going on counterattack on an issue that has seemingly, caused his integrity, caused to question his integrity. So in Public Opinion, we're asking, what do you make of this? What's your reaction to Prime Minister Holness taking the IC to court? We'll start with the comments on our Instagram platform. Lation North, yes, is saying, I absolutely agree with the Prime Minister. Jamaican Advocate is saying, it is the right thing to do. Fight until you can't fight no more. Fight for your integrity, because above all else, that's what matters most. Yes. Trending Swaby is saying he doesn't want to be accountable for anything. All of this them call above the law, and it don't look good. Not a good look. Ambitious is saying long overdue. There are irregularities in the IC reports, and their actions seem sketchy. Okay. I am Anika believes that this is a great move. The Prime Minister taking the Integrity Commission to court is a great move. Horton saying that totally agree with a thumbs up. Tina, bless. I would do the same. Nobody should be okay. Drag your name like that. To drag your name like that. Reminisce, that should be Rennie, is saying, in my humble opinion, I don't see anything wrong with taking legal action. Maybe he believes that he has been treated unfairly. He has a right. So let's wait and see. Rosemary saying he needs to take himself to the court. He can't take the IC to court for doing their job. And McPherson believes that this is a distraction. The Prime Minister taking the IC to court is a distraction. That's according to McPherson Marissa. Commenting on our public opinion this evening, what's your reaction to the Prime Minister Holness taking the Integrity Commission to court? Tracy believes that it's a good move. Some say excellent. All will now be known. On Instagram, the comments keep coming. Willie Ryan Wilson saying, I see absolutely nothing wrong with him doing that. If the IC blundered in how it carried out its function, then the PM has a case. If you ask me, I think the IC is compromised. Okay. Key is saying he is going to lose again as he did. All right. It's me says, good move. Stop dragging the man name through mud. Okay. All right. D. Bardley, I agree 1000%. Nicole believes that it's the bite of the week. All right. We see you, Nicole. On our Facebook platform, let's get into the comments over there. The reactions, of course. Over 68 comments we have on our Facebook platform. Philip Jackson says, I think it's the right way to go. The IC is not God sent. They have a lot of missteps and should be made to answer some serious questions. Fabian Smith says he has the right to do so, just like any other Jamaican. The IC is not above the law either. Did the IC apologize to the police then? Princess Chambers is saying every politician think they are above the law. So many of them been accused of stealing, yet no court cases, no arrests, just resign, go home and collect taxpayers' money. All right, Anthony Sheikh saying to us, he made the right move. The man needs to protect his integrity and reputation. The IC has dragged him through the mud for 3 years. Bever Baker is saying that the decision is the best decision he could make. Long time this should happen. And Barbara is saying the PM will not always be a politician all his life, so he needs to protect his reputation. Donna believes it's a right choice. Yeah? Donna believes it's a right choice. And Jason Alphabet is saying poor people feel, oh, okay, all right, innocent until proven guilty. All right. The court will decide on the case if it's innocent, or until proven guilty. All right. Wesley Cunningham, right move. Time come for us to get the truth about the Prime Minister and the IC. Yeah. Michelle Bernard is saying that it's too much. It is too much. Yeah. It is too much. All right, if you're just joining us, we're inside the Court of Public Opinion. Your reaction to Prime Minister Andrew Holness taking the Integrity Commission to court. Let's see about some of those comments on our YouTube platform, shall we? Let me just pull it up right away to see what the YouTubers are saying about this matter. A matter of great public interest. Yes, everybody have interest in it. Everybody want to know what's happening, what's going on. The matter is sub judice, of course. So, not much can be said. But let's see. Nads J says, totally agree. Others on the next side would do the same. Prince Charles says, the Prime Minister doing the right thing. Sue them. Well, it's a judicial review to see before we get to sue. Okay. Gary Thompson says, time come for him to stand up. Angie Favorable saying he knew he's not guilty, so he needs to prove his innocence. And I guess the best place to prove that is in the house, in the courthouse. Student for Life says, for what it's worth, Holness application will not go in his favor. The courts will side with the IC. That's coming from Student for Life. That's his opinion. Tony Cooper says, don't waste time on them, Prime Minister. You are doing a great job for the Jamaican people. All right. Let me see. Grace Ben says the PNP will come up with its nonsense now. One don't want to go court if they are guilty. Something of that sort you're saying, Grace Ben. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Yes, Samantha Gordon believes that it's the right thing to do. Yeah, right thing to do. Let me see if I can get some more. If I can go, Kathleen Drummond says distraction. I should say queer. Distraction. That's what Kathleen Drummond is saying. Mitzi Blue, accountability, respect to you, Prime Minister. And then a lot of comments coming in as I say. This one is of great public interest. Zenith Beckford saying that he is so guilty. Patrick Bond, I stand with the Prime Minister. D Muse is telling the Prime Minister to clear his name. Yeah? Clear your name. SW is saying, time come, Mr. Prime Minister. Nadine Dockery, long overdue. Wonder why it's taking this long. So we have varying views here on our public opinion this evening, and we welcome them. Michael Wright says, listen, to me, no one is above the law anywhere you live. Yeah? Well, we saw what happened in Parliament today. The opposition attempted to move a motion, but that did not happen. A failed attempt. They went outside and they had an impromptu press conference, I would say, as it relates to the motion about the Prime Minister's statutory declaration. We see what's happening there. It's a continuous conversation we'll be having, or that, people will want to know about. Killian Henry, I stand with you, my great Prime Minister. The real is saying this too shall pass. Well, let's see about it. The court will decide whether or not to grant the judicial review. Marlene P. says, I'm so glad he took this route. Yeah? Madham says, right move. Dr. Buck is agreeing with the Prime Minister taking the Integrity Commission to court. Rondre Rainford saying that he's compromised. Yeah? All right. Political... okay, wow. A lot of comments here. Charmaine Walker believes that nothing impromptu about the press conference. She believes it was well planned. Okay. All right. Well, Celebrity Lux is saying, clear your good name, Mr. PM. Wow. A lot of comments coming in, and I suspect we will continue to see how this plays out. As always, we will try to keep our very best to keep you updated and in the know. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. That's all the time we have, but do stay tuned. Up next, the Business Report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:32. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. The Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited, KFTL, is urging Jamaicans to brace for significant disruptions in the global shipping industry following a strike by workers at several U.S. ports. Now, more than 45,000 port workers walked off the job on Tuesday, shutting down 14 major ports from Maine to Texas. The strike, which is the first large-scale walkout by dock workers in nearly 50 years, comes after negotiations concerning wages broke down. The industrial action, well, it blocks everything from food to automobile shipments. Kingston Freeport, Jamaica's main gateway for shipping containers, it's saying that the strike poses significant challenges for Jamaica. And as a result, the port operator, they're saying it has implemented measures to avoid accepting additional cargo bound for the U.S. It comes at a time, amid the Christmas season. Yeah, okay. And we continue over on the international scene where major U.S. ports will stay shut until pay demands are met. That's according to the union boss representing the striking dock workers, Harold Daggett. He's the head of the International Longshoremen's Association. He made the vow on a picket line in New Jersey on Tuesday as tens of thousands of dock workers on the East and Gulf coasts walked out in a bid to win a better labor deal. He said, quote, "We're going to fight for it and we're going to win, or this port will never open up again." And he says, "I am not playing games here." End quote. Businesses are bracing for the possibility of a prolonged ports shutdown, which threatens to cause havoc to global trade and the U.S. economy. And finally, the currency markets at the close of trading today. It cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 81 cents to buy $1 US, 212 Jamaican dollars and 65 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 117 Jamaican dollars and 96 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
We a big deal when we touch ground. Yeah, I can't see when we're pulling up. Anything for the taste what we love. Barbecue, spicy and original, flavorful, crispy, irresistible. 3 piece with the fries and a Pepsi. Go get your one big deal, stop stress me. All when we dip on the toilet, now left foot. It's a big deal.
Anything for the taste of a juicy, crunchy, irresistible KFC big deal. 3 pieces of delicious chicken, fries and Pepsi. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
From time immemorial, it's been said even some of the wisest men in the Bible had many wives. But Western ways want to warn women against accepting that teaching. Still, there are many men today who aspire to be Solomon, but can't find partners who agree. So why do some women decide to stalk, confront, message, argue, and even go to war with other women who share their space and time? Isn't it better to leave what you can't manage or discuss it with the man of the moment? Work it out or leave the work. Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic: why do mating hens fight over the rooster?
Catch the E-Zone with me, the Stinger Honeybee, alongside
Kareem Boy Ting.
As we turn up that heat in the street.
New show,
new vibes.
Same us. Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m.
Right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
We'll bring you entertainment news.
We'll take away your Monday blues.
You don't want to miss a week with us.
We'll talk health.
Well,
jump into the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss the brain buster.
Or the crazy giveaways.
I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugatti.
Ow.
Attention all data protection enthusiasts. Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM every Tuesday at 8:20 a.m. and Thursday at 8:25 a.m. for a new program, Data Protection Matters. Starting June 4, 2024, join us as we delve into crucial topics that will keep you informed and compliant. Data Protection Matters is hosted by Chuck Cameron, founder of Design Privacy, your trusted partner in data protection. Don't miss out. That's every Tuesday morning at 8:20 8:20 and every Thursday at 8:25 a.m. Stay protected, stay informed with Nationwide 90 FM and Design Privacy.
Public opinion.
Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Looking to rent a fully operational production studio? Then Nationwide 90 FM has got you covered. We have flexible options to meet your recording needs any day of the week. Monday to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays available upon request. Bookings must be made in advance. Call us today at 630-1210. Let us help you reach your production desires.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Good evening, listeners and viewers, and welcome to the Nation's Business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
I'm Cliff Hughes.
Well, we turn our attentions to the United States, where there is a massive strike by East Coast and Gulf Coast dock workers, affecting about half of the country's ocean shipping. The strike is a result of failed negotiations between the International Longshoremen's Association, ILA Union, and the United States Maritime Alliance, USMX Employer Group, over wages and automation.
The ILA, representing 45,000 port workers, rejected USMX's final proposal, calling it far short of their demands. The ILA leader, Harold Daggett, emphasized that employers must offer better pay increases and protect jobs from automation. The union is seeking a 77% pay increase over 6 years, which would see the top hourly wage move from $39 to $69 by 2030.
If the strike continues, this will have serious implications. Shippers in Jamaica are now concerned about the impact. And we are joined by CEO of Maritrans International Logistics Limited, that's Donovan Wignall, a journalist outside of Washington, D.C., Dr. Tim Tootin, and President of the Shipping Association of Jamaica, Cora Ann Robertson Sylvester. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Siobhan.
Good evening.
Good evening, Coran.
Good evening, colleagues. Good evening.
Good evening to you all.
Let us begin, Siobhan, with Dr. Tootin in Washington, D.C. Tell us exactly what is happening and the impact this is likely to have on those ports affected in the U.S.
Well, the last time we talked, certainly thank you for having me on. The last time we talked, it was regarding the Key Bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge here in Baltimore. And of course, that was 6 months of traffic, port traffic being interrupted. And now we're here again with a major problem. The Port of Baltimore is an important port for the U.S. economy, a lot of jobs. And I think that as we see what's happening around the country, there's great concern for this port and for certainly those who live here. So again, it's been 6 months. We can say, here we are again. So there's certainly day one in the books, and persons are hoping that this can be resolved soon.
And in terms of the impact on the U.S. shipping industry, give us some specifics as to how that will be impacted.
Well, you think about just about everything that comes in goods. The port is major for what's coming from Europe and Asia, South America. And I talked to two friends of mine today. Both are in the car business. It is also important. The car imports, the coal exports, and up and down the East Coast, Norfolk, Philadelphia. Those are areas that are going to be affected, and there's just concern about what could happen if this lasts longer than what is happening now. So a lot of trade happening, and we can be sure that we'll be hearing from the governor and some others. But it's not one of those things you can solve with one state. It really affects a lot of ports. And again, because of the way the East Coast is lined up, from Florida up the coast, all major ports.
Mm-hmm. And Cora and Robertson Sylvester, from where you stand, how badly could this impact Jamaica shipping?
Thank you so much for having me. So this is the situation. A lot of our exports, which is important to our economy, they go to the Northeast. And if there is a delay or a continued strike, it could affect our products getting to the Northeast. There are some lines that do not operate in ILA ports, so there is a positive situation there. There's a light, but most of the ports are ILA. The New York port, New Jersey, that's big. And as you know, we have a huge diaspora, and there's a lot of products of exports that go to those regions. With regards to the import, it's the same thing. We have a lot of products coming from those regions. On a positive note, the Port of Miami is non-union, and as you know, Florida feeds a lot of cargo to Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. And Donovan Wignall, I see where the Kingston Freeport has already sent out some notices telling people to anticipate delays. Has your business been affected?
Significant enough, yes. As Coran said, the export traffic up to the East Coast and the Gulf ports of the United States are going to have a serious challenge getting into there. So those containers, those shipments that are going into that area, they have to find alternate routes, or those containers are in to sit at the ports or sit at the exporters' premises until this division is cleared up. The imports coming from the United States from those ports, definitely as Coran stated, are going to be impacted significantly. You might have an increase in freight rates. You're also going to have implications for the Port of Kingston, because if the Port of Kingston starts to accept containers that were bound for the United States ports that are affected by the strike, then you might have a situation where our ports become choked with containers that can't move because of the strike. So, as you would have heard, the Port of Kingston would have preemptively stated that they're not going to be accepting containers that are bound for the United States. Containers that are coming from the Far East into Jamaica and import a significant amount of cargo from the Far East will come to Jamaica and will not be significantly impacted. But all in all, I think it is something that we really need to look forward to for them to really resolve this as soon as possible. I think it is always stated that for every 1 day of delay in this particular situation, it will take 5 days to clear the backlog from the ports. Just imagine the massive amount of backlog containers, the bottleneck that is going to happen in the United States if this is not resolved as soon as possible.
Coran Robertson, you wanted to come in?
Yes, thank you. So the vessel schedules will be affected because when the vessels come through the Panama Canal and they come to Kingston and they drop the cargo destined for Jamaica and for other transshipment locations, the cargo that's on the vessels that have to go to the United States, if there's no solution for that, that's going to cause a problem, and that will cause a problem in the reliability of the service because it's going to take a much longer time for the vessels to get back to the Far East. Mm-hmm. And then also we have to also realize that we're in a hurricane season. We're seeing what has happened in the United States with the devastation there. Yes, and it's all connected. It's all connected.
And a lot of
just a moment, Donovan. Let me. I want to bring back
colleagues today down on the picket lines, talking with some of the persons, and here's what they were hearing: is that we're talking about a large raise, being demanded over 6 years, a ban of automation on cranes, gates, and containers, and so I think the concern is what's going to happen in the long run. But still, paper, refrigerated goods, all coming out of these major ports. And there's some support for them here with some of the lawmakers in Maryland. But this is major when it comes in terms of a strike. It's been a number of years since we've seen this happen. And I think we were watching and it happened all of a sudden. It's in full swing.
It's been more than 4 decades since you have anything like this, Dr. Touton. But what are the efforts to bring some resolution? Is it that we're, based on where they are now, there's so much to do that we're looking at a long strike, or what? What's the best bet, Dr. Touton?
We heard today from some local lawmakers of whose districts are affected by the port, and naturally they would be supporting, the strikers. But I can't see how the governors in these states, because it affects not just international economy, but it also affects the state economy. I mentioned to you at the onset of how Baltimore was affected when the bridge went down. So certainly there's got to be in the coming days of kind of a meeting between lawmakers in Washington and some of the local lawmakers statewide to do something. I think not doing anything, but I've not heard of any talks scheduled. I think if you go state by state, you'll hear how it's making the news headlines in these particular states. But I would not be surprised that by midweek, if we don't have something from Washington to try to address this quickly.
Mm-hmm. Donovan Wignall, there is the alternative of air freight, but I can't imagine that comes with significant increased costs and limits what is potentially possible to transport.
Absolutely. There's no amount of air freight you can have that is going to be able to suffice for the volume of cargo that needs to be moved. While some, and the cargoes that are stuck in the ports are stuck on vessels, shipping companies are already declaring force majeure, meaning that they are not going to be accepting any cost or be responsible for any cost that is occurring as a result of containers being detained on the port by the strike or on vessels or anywhere at all, as long as it relates to the strike. So at the end of the day, it is a very catastrophic situation, and there is no solution in sight, even except for the fact that they need to resolve this particular situation as soon as possible. It is going to be catastrophic if it's not sorted.
And spell out catastrophic for us, Donovan. This means there's going to be massive increases in prices for just about every goods and possibly service.
Absolutely. Scarcity is going to be created in the United States. If you look at how those ports are situated, the economies of all of those cities connected to those ports are going to suffer greatly. We're in the Christmas season, so a lot of those goods that are coming in from the Far East up through the Panama Canal, which should have been transshipped through Jamaica, and other ports, Carthage, etc., of the United States are going to be stuck. It is just going to be crazy if it's not started pretty soon. Not even the President of the United States, he said he's not going to intervene. So at the end of the day, there might be some kind of shift to the west coast of the United States, where people are probably going to try and truck cargo from one end of the country to the next, if the vessels report on the west coast.
Mm-hmm.
But that is going to come at a significant cost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Corey and Robertson Sylvester, what are you saying to your customers here in Jamaica tonight? What's the word to them?
Well, all day I've been talking to the customers. I've been speaking to the PSOJ, talking about what the possibilities are. And, they're looking for solutions. And we are trying to find solutions to get the export cargo out and to get the import cargo in. We feel confident about what will happen from Europe and from Miami in the short term, but it's what will happen in the long term that's of concern. I think it was mentioned earlier, the automation is a big, big topic and a big concern, and that's something that how do you roll back progress? That's going to be difficult. Because you compare yourself, the United States has to compare itself to other ports in the world. Rotterdam, which is the most automated port, and we have to find a solution. And so I'm hopeful that there will be a solution very soon, so that, as Donovan says, that we don't have the backlog and the delay. But the positive news is that there are solutions for our exporters to get their cargo to some locations in the United States, to Miami and to the Northeast. Limited as it may be, but there are solutions for Jamaica.
And Dr. Tooten, I'd like to bring you in on this matter of a middle ground that could be found here, because certainly automation cannot be avoided in the long term. So is there a potential middle ground between the USMX and ILA in terms of a way forward that can resolve the impasse, so to speak?
I can tell you that here in Baltimore, this is a strong union town, and it's a union state. But to your point, there's a domino effect that could happen, because you're talking about automation, and whether you have those persons who are getting all of the materials off of the ships and then sorting them and then putting them on trucks and trains. And I drive through the tunnel most times during the week, and you can see what's coming from the containers onto the trucks, onto the trains. So it's going to affect that business as well. And so there really has to be some kind of solution, and whether it's going to happen quickly. But I think the demand is certainly high. I've heard some numbers about, we want a 6-7 year deal. We're not talking about a Band-Aid. But certainly I think we're going to see the trucking industry, the rail industry, everybody is in this. And something has to happen quickly.
Yeah. Well, Donovan Wignall, CEO of Matrans International Logistics, Dr. Tim Tooten out of Washington, D.C., Cora and Robertson Sylvester, we have to watch it, but a lot of this outside of our control. We'll have to make use of the limited opportunities we have to get our goods and service into other parts of the U.S. Thank you very much for the perspectives.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Welcome. This is Nationwide at 5.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints. Corian Solid Surface, so versatile and beautiful. It's non-porous, no sealing necessary, renewable and repairable, so easy to clean and maintain, and can be thermoformed into any shape. Choose Corian, the #1 solid surface in the world, when you want beauty and the best for your countertop. Visit Home International Limited, located at 104 Constance Ring Road. Telephone 755-1970 or 924-0437.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Choose your life insurance coverage, apply, and pay online. Live the e-life with Sagicor Life. The time by Sagicor Life is
6:59.
Good God have mercy, hey. Good God have grace, hey. Lord have mercy, hey.
It's 7 o'clock, listeners and viewers, and it is time for Nature's Remedies. This is a program to educate you about the uses of natural herbs. Tonight we'll be talking about the Portulus oleracea. Let me get this right. The Portulus oleracea, aka the purslane or wild purslane. Their uses both internally and externally. As usual, we'll be opening the lines later, so you can call in with any questions you might have for our resident pharmacognosist, Dr. Denise Daly. Good evening, Dr. Daly.
Good evening. And how are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. Did I get the name of that plant right?
You know, I'm going to give you A for effort.
That means you didn't get it right. What is it?
Portulaca.
Portulaca.
Oh, it's Portulaca. Okay then.
Oleracea.
Oleracea. Portulaca oleracea. Okay.
AKA Purslane?
Purslane, yes.
Oh.
Or hogweed.
Oh.
Hogweed or pigweed.
Okay, make us stick with that.
All right. Have you looked at the picture of wild purslane that we have all over Jamaica? It's common in our back and front yards.
Oh? Oh, that's it? Oh,
yes.
cool.
Does it look familiar?
Yes, I've definitely seen this plant before.
Yeah.
Yes. We just trample on it, push it to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is another herb that has not been given a lot of attention, but it has so many properties that can help with our diseases today, that can help with our nutritional issues today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the purslane, I remember when I first tried it, very young, with wild callaloo. I don't know if you tried wild callaloo before.
I heard of it, never tried it.
The little callaloo plant. It's not as big as our regular callaloo that we
I know it.
It's little and tiny.
Yes.
So you'd have it with your purslane, steam it like callaloo or cabbage, and it has high iron content. So be looking at what are the other nutritional benefits of purslane, how can you have it, and what are some of the remedies that it is in. Now, purslane has a significant amount of omega-3 fatty acids. And if we know about our omega-3s, these are the fatty acids that help with cardiovascular health. It helps with ensuring that our blood vessels are strong enough to help to pump the blood. It helped with eliminating our cholesterol, bad cholesterol, and it also helps with overall maintenance of our muscles and our heart. So that's your omega-3. It's also rich in your vitamin A, C, E, all your common vitamins, all your common minerals. Porcelain has it, and it's right there where we can access it. How we can have it? You steam it. You can steam it like your kalaloo, or your spinach, or your pak choy. So just add a little porcelain to that. You can steam it by itself and have it as a side dish. You know, add your garlic, your onion, etc. You can also add it to salads or add it to your smoothies.
Really?
Yes. Does it sound interesting? Looking. Is it not sure yet?
No, yes. Not sure.
So the stem is pink, the leaves are green, the flowers are yellow. And if you look at it, it kind of looks like lips. So kids would usually call it jump and kiss me. That's one of the names, because they usually pick it and give each other as well as part of the games that they would play. So it's very common, and we can utilize it more. So that's some of the nutritional facts about it. Get some iron from your porcelain. Get some minerals like your manganese, your zinc from your porcelain. Fiber. So it's very good as a laxative. It has that fiber component as well. You have fiber in your backyard right here with your porcelain.
So hold on there, Dr. Daly. Where in Jamaica people use this?
In the country areas. We hardly use these in Kingston unless you know it from country and you carry it with you and use it. That's the thing.
So it's a country thing?
Yes. And we're losing some of these because persons don't know. Because when I first had it was in country, in Clarendon. And when you mix it with your kalaloo, you didn't even remember that porcelain was there, where you're having that additional benefit.
Whoa.
Right? So vegetarians, again, you don't have your cod liver oil, you have your nuts, but you also have porcelain as an omega-3 additive that you can have to your diet. Let's talk about porcelain and the skin. You know, we're always looking at what are some natural things we can use for the skin. Porcelain is one such plant, again, based on its vitamin C content. So it's a natural vitamin C serum. You can blend it up and you can apply it to the skin, different areas. If it has like psoriasis or eczema, you can add it to the skin before bath, or you can make an ointment. Soak it in some oil, have that oil and apply it to the area that you'd want to have it as an emolient, right? You want to keep it moist. So porcelain has that ability for the skin as well. When we look at the phytochemical profile of porcelain, we have alkaloids. And we've mentioned alkaloids before because these are some of the compounds that you will have that turn into pharmaceuticals, that turn into medicinal compounds because of its therapeutic effect. Porcelain has that, and that's why in a lot of the studies, we see more and more the bioactive that's extracted is from the class of an alkaloid compound. Its flavor and some of its flavor and the savory taste is from the terpenes and the flavonoids that's in it. So there are different compounds that's in it, and we see them coming out as part of the benefits of having your porcelain.
So tell us, Dr. Daly, are there any other uses for it in terms of any specific diseases or ailments that you'd recommend that you use porcelain to combat?
Yes, it's good to have as a tea for headaches. So it's good to have for headaches. It's good with inflammation as well. So if you have inflammation, you can have it as a tea or you can have it as a tincture where you have it soaked in glycerine or in alcohol, and you'd have drops of that in water or now and then. So you can have it in that case. For some of the research studies that we find is, one, they're looking at porcelain as a food production, sustainable food production alternative.
Oh.
So in some countries, you have a lot of purslane that's present. You have cereal crops being affected. They're looking at this as alternative where you can get some of your minerals, your vitamins, and so on. For example, 100 gram of your purslane is 93% water, but you have 3% protein present. You have about 2% carbohydrate present, plus the additional benefits that can prevent malnutrition and other health-related diseases.
Mm-hmm.
It has also been shown to have antihypertensive effect and anti-hypoglycemic effect. So it has balanced the blood sugar level in one study by the Journal of Ethnopharmacology. They did a study on that, looking at the benefits in persons during a clinical trial, the blood glucose level and the lipid profile. And there were significant improvements for both. And what was special about this study too, these persons had metabolic syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So it had a significant effect in alleviating that ailment or disorder rather.
I see someone on YouTube asking if it has cancer fighting properties.
It has minimal because it has that protective. There's no concrete evidence yet as an anti-proliferative or getting rid of cancer cells, but it does protect the liver, it does protect the kidneys, so it can help with the detox processing throughout the body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's safe to consume. There's no adverse effects so far in clinical trials. It's safe to consume. Traditional medicine has shown that it's safe to consume. However, I just want to note, one, it has an oxalic acid. So we mentioned oxalates before. These are crystals that you find in some of your green leafy vegetables. And so we want to cook or saute the food so we can help to reduce that, especially if you have gallstones or kidney stones, to make sure it's cooked if you have it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that issue, small amounts as salads or smoothies would be fine as well.
So you said there are no adverse side effects. So would there be any concern for somebody, say, on some form of medication for certain diseases? They would have no worry about taking the purslane along with it?
So far, no. But I still maintain space out your teas with your medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Constipation is one thing they saw. If you have too much, you can become constipated.
Oh.
Because of the high fiber content it has as well.
And what's the recommended dosage of purslane extract for anti-aging benefits, and how often should it be used?
Okay. For when you're having the dose, most of your syringe are like 2 to 3 mils. You can have that, which is similar to almost half a teaspoon in your water or by itself. So you can have that. Or you can have a tea, which is 1 teaspoon of the dried herb in 1 cup of water. And that can help with the anti-aging, it can help with skin benefits and all the other pharmacological benefits like your cholesterol, giving you the omega-3s and helping to boost the digestive system as well.
And the healing of wounds?
Yes, that's what we mentioned with the skin. If you want to create a skincare ointment, you can soak it in your oil. You can add a little beeswax to that and you can apply it to the skin. It helps with the wound. Now, if you're in the field and you get a sharp cut, you can get the leaves, crush it and apply it to that wound. If you get a bite, whichever bite, get the leaves again, crush it, because again, it's a succulent. So you have a lot of liquid water in there, 93%, and apply it to that bite and you just kind of massage the area and it activates the chemicals in it to help soothe the bite and prevent the swelling because of its anti-inflammatory effect.
Okay, good. Well, we're talking about hogweed. What's the fancy name for it, Doc?
Portulaca.
Portulaca, yeah, yes. But it's hogweed, we know it as.
Hogweed, we know it as.
Yeah. If you have any questions, queries about it, please give us a call, or you can go on our YouTube platform and ask your question, of Dr. Denise Daly. Okay, we're going to take a break. The numbers to call us 876-63093-7124 or 876-618-8255.
So what's up and sapata coconut water fi wash off your heart. Hey, nobody could have said Rasta soft. Me go link Viva fast and never fever grass. Hey, Spirulina we blending, so you know I'll be spending every dollar out on me bill fold.
It's time for a new look.
And high time to get serious about protecting our home and investment.
It's time to choose BH Paints with over 60 years experience in quality paint finishes. Their products are superior and long-lasting.
Time to check them out.
Ask about BH Paint's 100% acrylic Ultima Plus paint and primer in one. Experience rich colors with advanced UV and mildew-resistant technologies, independently tested by experts. What are you waiting for? Visit a BH Paints Color Center today.
Drive Hyundai. Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
My Mega
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Dr. Denise Daly is a former program director for the College of Health Sciences at the University of Technology. She does seminars on corporate wellness and team building strategies and health and wellness in the workplace. She also offers lifestyle and wellness coaching and offers personalized wellness packages. Dr. Daly is also the co-owner and founder of Nasare R&M Company Limited. All natural skincare products are available for customers. They also do private labeling and customized skincare packages. She can be contacted by email at drdenisedaily@gmail.com for bookings and consultations. She can also be found on Instagram and Facebook at Dr. Denise Daly.
Good God have mercy. Hey, good God have mercy.
All right, we're talking about hogweed. Yes, with Dr. Denise Daly and its properties and benefits. Here's a question on YouTube for you. Is it good for mosquito bites, Dr. Daly?
Yes, it is. So you can definitely use your hogweed for mosquito bite. You can definitely make your own mosquito repellent and or after bite. So soak it in your oil or alcohol, and you can add a little lavender, a little lemongrass. To get additional benefits or the after bite ointment.
So you say someone, Godfrey Smith, is saying it's like moringa, Siobhan, can be taken on a regular basis. Is that so?
It can be had on a regular basis, but again, those who would avoid it, if you have gallstone, kidney stone, or if you're pregnant, it can induce contractions if you have it too much. So those are important to note. But it's very nutritious and it's very conveniently located throughout the island.
Another person saying you can add it to your pepper pot soup.
Yes. I've had that as well.
Oh dear. All right, Richie. Oh, you have another one, Shaba?
No, bring Richie on the line. What's
Richie?
up, Richie?
Yes, man, I'm here.
Yes, go ahead for Dr.
Hi,
Daly.
Richie.
Good evening, Doc.
Good evening, Richie.
You are really a teacher of herbs and food.
Thank
That
you.
herb, what you call parsley, we call it puzzle.
Yes.
But I didn't know about it as a weed. What that use?
Yes, sir.
And the callaloo that she's talking about, do you know it?
The wild
callaloo.
callaloo, yes.
We call it bush callaloo. You know it?
Yes, I know wild callaloo.
You know, okay, you know it then. So you want to go and add it to the puzzle to it now then.
I'm not sure about that, you know. I'm not very honest about that.
Why? It's something that we used to eat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Yeah, man. Me man you see the line that we because you forget it on a rock stone. We cook spinach with them together.
Oh.
And it make a nice meal. Very, very nice meal.
Well, I hear it's bitter or sour, isn't it?
No, sir. It's not bitter.
No.
It is not bitter, but it doesn't have the real taste like the color.
Yes. So me stick to my color.
But it make a nice meal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Doc. You can't just keep them. Yeah. Your daddy you so one day. You don't look up on the restaurant when I didn't catch some come here. You want some?
No.
Tell me something. You know about the Red Star color that you have now?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, purple star color. You know about it?
The dark one, dark star.
The dark that they use.
Yes, man, I've seen it.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
You like some of the seed?
No.
Why not?
Me tell you, me stick with me know. My callaloo. Me love my callaloo,
No, listen me down.
Me don't know if me want to spoil my perception and taste of it by go try your hogweed or porcelain or whatever.
It's very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, well, you eat it, me not eat it.
Well, all right. Me never tell you Alric to give you some of it,
Yeah, Alric stay with it.
This is the best you give Alric, but you know what's about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Anyway, take care, yeah?
Yeah, man. Take care, Richie. Mm-hmm. Doc, I not gonna take them risks with no hogweed and whatever.
Well, you should everything you should be tried at least once,
Yeah.
Mr. Hughes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as you know it's edible
Yeah.
and been eaten for centuries, then tasting it, you're still fine.
Yeah.
Then you can decide if you like it or not.
I hear you. All right.
And besides, you never know what they put. According to some people, that's what the Chinese put in them foods. You never know what the Chinese actually feeding you sometimes,
Well, that is true. That is so true. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
a good thing to plants.
Godfrey McInnes is asking, what is good for Whitlow? Whitlow. What's Whitlow?
Question, I don't know. I don't remember what's Whitlow. I've heard the name before.
Yes.
At first, I'll have to refresh my memory with Whitlow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can answer based on its characteristic.
Yes.
Herpetic wit.
Oh.
So it's been a while. But once it's infection, we want some of the immune building herbs in the mix. So if it's able to build up your immune system, it's able to also get rid of some of the viruses, bacteria, fungus, etc. So antimicrobial herbs would be what I recommend. For example, garlic is very good. Turmeric, your ginger, even holy basil or tulsi. If you have some of that, that can also help. Have that as a tea. In Jamaica, we have a lot of French thyme, or we call it Spanish thyme, or Mexican thyme. Do you know that one? It has a succulent leaf and it's kind of broad.
No.
No?
No.
I'm not, I'm only familiar with thyme, normal thyme. I don't know about Mexican thyme.
All right, so there's that thyme. We'll talk about it in the coming weeks. But it's very good for skin condition and external athletes' foot, anything like that, infections that affects the skin and the nails, toenail, fingernail. So having that as an ointment and as a part of your meals can also help.
Okay, so I pulled up a picture of the Mexican thyme. It looks almost like mint.
It does, yes. And it smells really good. Just having, and the tea is very refreshing. So Cliff, you can try that one. It's very good.
Yes, I'll try that one if it's mint. If
In
it's
fact,
mint,
it's actually called Mexican mint herb.
good. I'll try that. I'm not sure about the hogweed. All right. Let me ask you though, Doc.
Yeah.
We come here every week or most weeks and we do this. To what extent is medicine, is formal Western medicine, catching up with the use, the benefits of these plants? Yeah. For example, the hogweed. Is it being really tested and put through the different processes to extract and to commercialize its benefits?
Yes, and I love that question because that's what is happening now in terms of pharmacognosy, in terms of identifying your medicinal plants and extracting the bioactive components. Now, to do that extraction, they have to do a series of experiments, whether in animals or then in clinical trials. Now, with porcelain, this is one example of a herb that is being tested. In Jamaica, I have not seen any research put forth, but in India, I've seen it in India and Asia, where they use it a lot as a part of the dishes in some of the research. For example, when I mentioned the Journal of Ethnopharmacology, they did a study in 2017 looking at the liver protective properties, looking at the kidney protective properties, and that's one study. And also the metabolic syndrome clients. That was a clinical trial. So grade A research looking at how it helps the lipid profile and the blood glucose concentration. So a lot of work is being done in terms of identifying some of our plants. The other sustainability aspect is the food production options. That is another research that porcelain is a part of, as according to Environmental Management Journal. They're looking at how do we make it into supplements. Similar to your moringa, it has fiber, it has omega-3, it has vitamins, minerals. Have it available to countries and families as an option of making sure you have that multi-nutrient per day. So yes, that's where it is now in terms of research. A lot of pharmaceutical companies are still looking at the phytochemical profile you get once you put it on the GC or the UPLC, etc. Once you put it on your instrument and you see the profile, what can we extract? And is there a novel compound? And how can we then make that novel compound or improve the benefits it has? So the work is ongoing.
Are we putting enough resources in the work to do the necessary R&D, research and development to get it to the market? Or there's a serious lag taking place? Take that after we take this call. Don't forget that question. Del is on the line for us, Dr. Daly. Del?
Right, Del.
Del?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Doc. I'm asking her if it's the same one that they call oregano. Oregano? Yes.
The porcelain? No.
No, not porcelain. The other one, the minty one.
The Mexican
Yes,
mint.
some people call it wild oregano.
Oh.
But I hardly hear that name, but I did hear it in one community once. But it's the Mexican mint. It's a broader leaf. Or Mexican thyme.
That's what you call it where you are, Del? We lost her. Oh, dear. Can we call her back? Do we know? No? Oh, all right. If you're hearing us, Del, call us back. Yeah? So, Doc, I was asking you, are we putting enough in terms of the research and development to bring these products to market? Yeah? Are we lagging, as I suspect? Or Del is back?
Yes.
Yes, Del.
It's the same one that they call oregano.
In your community? That's how you call it?
I saw it on the TikTok.
Oh, you saw it on TikTok?
Yes, and that is the same one because I have a lot of it.
Oh, but you know, easy Del, you on TikTok? You on TikTok, Del?
Yes, because I use sometimes.
What you know easy.
You have to give me the times, Mr. Hughes.
Sometimes for herbs, sometimes mostly.
And you see,
for herbs,
and you see them talking about what you call it, oregano?
Oregano, yes.
Oregano, Mr. Hughes. You might be more familiar with that term. Oregano.
Okay.
Yes, you could look it up.
Yes.
We call it the thyme. Miss grandmother always cook. When she cooking soup, she would put that 1 or 2 pieces in it.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
It has a nice smell.
Yeah.
Sometimes I make a little tea with it sometimes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
There you go. That's
the same one.
But you know the hogweed, Del?
Yes, I know the hogweed, but I never know it as hogweed. I know it as purslane.
Purslane, yes, that's what she told us. Yes, purslane. Yeah.
Yes, but I never know that name hogweed. But that's what is plenty where I am too.
Where are you, Del?
I'm in Manchester South.
South Manchester. And it's
yes.
common down that side?
Yes, I see it a lot.
Oh, okay. You use it? You use it?
No, I never use it because I never really know the purpose for it. So.
Mm-hmm.
But like over here now, I will use it.
Yes. You can mix it with your callaloo. What else you can do with it, Doc?
You can add it and make tea or add it to some smoothie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
All right, Dale. Thanks for calling.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good. Yes,
Yeah.
Doc. So back to my question. The resources we use, we are really, are this is a sector that you're all left to fledge on your own?
You know what? More funding is needed in this sector because that is a basis of finding new pharmaceutical, new drugs that companies go after and produce and put to the market. But that groundwork part of research, actually going to get the plant and doing the initial extractions, need more funding. A lot of time the support comes after the 7 years of research and you have the active compound. Then pharmaceuticals companies would come in at the end. But there is a struggle at the beginning to get some of the groundwork going. And you find it across the world when it comes to medicinal plant research.
Yes.
However, pharmaceutical companies, they will invest in R&D and have their team look at a particular plants that they want to further get novel compounds from.
Yes. Yeah. Do they look at the Jamaican market and potential? Are they not really paying much attention here?
And we ourselves are doing work and publishing that in Jamaica at the different universities. So that's one aspect. I would try to collaborate and to go as far as possible, and also not only validate the compounds that we isolate, but what exactly is it used for, and to find out how can it help an ailment and what concentration. So even the dosage research is also done. So we find out it's good as an anti-inflammatory, it's good as an antioxidant, but then how much do we need to take? That's also part of the research that's done.
Yes. Okay.
So how come, Doc, I never hear many of these alternate herbal remedies put forward by doctors when they have the patients coming in? You only ever hear about the cycling this and the pill that, but you never hear about you could possibly supplement it with this easily found herb.
They're not paid to push that.
No, they're not. Plus, you can find an integrative medical practitioner. And integrative medicine, they will recommend this. And alternative medicine practitioners, they'll recommend this. But part of the thing that you find that is not recommended often is the level of evidence that some of the herbs have for particular ailments. Now, medicine is very specific. You have to be specific for children dosage, specific for women, etc. So when some of that is available, then it's added to their evidence of resources. For example, moringa is added where some doctors will recommend it. I'm not sure how many in Jamaica, but I've seen like in India, it's a part of their recommendation. And turmeric, they'll give those as a part of go home and do this regime.
Well, certainly these things are marketable in terms of supplements and such. You think that people will be taking advantage of this?
Yeah, we have, if you do a search on particular plants and the supplements, there's almost a supplement for every medicinal plant so far. So you want a supplement of purslane, you can look it up and you have it readily available. You want it for turmeric, you want it for ginger, or it's a holy basil. You have companies that are making it available because it's a part of Ayurveda, it's a part of indigenous medicine, it's a part of Chinese medicine. And with that wealth of knowledge and then the science, they have their supplement being produced and manufactured.
All right, Doc. We have to leave you a little early this evening, Doc. We have a couple of things we want to get to. But the final word on the hogweed, Doc, yes?
Yes, just to remember, it's right in our backyard. The stem is that bright pink. The leaf is green, the flowers yellow, and it's high in your iron, water, minerals, and vitamins. It's also an antioxidant. So with that benefit, it reduces oxidative stress. So it will help with anti-cancer, as one person asked. So let's try to utilize as much as our natural resources as possible and stay healthy.
Good. Thank you very much, our pharmacognosist, Dr. Denise Daly, with Nature's Remedies. See you next Tuesday evening, Doc, at 7. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Time for the break. After the break, what happened in the Parliament this afternoon and outside when the opposition walked out, okay?
From time immemorial, it's been said even some of the wisest men in the Bible had many wives. But Western ways want to warn women against accepting that teaching. Still, there are many men today who aspire to be Solomon, but can't find partners who agree. So, why do some women decide to stalk, confront, message, argue, and even go to war with other women who share their space and time? Isn't it better to leave what you can't manage or discuss it with the man of the moment? Work it out or leave the work. Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic, why do mating hens fight over the rooster?
Catch the E-Zone with me, the Stinger Honeybee, alongside
Kareem Boyating.
as we turn up the
Heat in the street. New show.
New vibe.
Same us.
Same us.
Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m.
Right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
We'll bring you entertainment news.
We'll take away your Monday blues.
You don't want to miss a week with us.
We'll talk health.
Well,
jump into the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss the brain buster.
Or the crazy giveaways.
I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugatti.
Ow.
26 minutes going up to 8 o'clock. We began in the cover story this afternoon with the clash in the Parliament between the government and the opposition, with the opposition attempting to move a no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister over his statutory declarations. And when the leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, chose to do so, he was thwarted in his efforts by the government side, including a ruling from the acting speaker, the deputy speaker, Herold Clark, and the intervention of the member for South East Clarendon, the governing party's Pernell Charles Jr., who is also the Minister of Labour and Social Security. He accused the opposition of attempting to abuse the parliamentary process for what he describes as narrow political gain.
Madam Speaker, it is unfortunate that the opposition, and I say this with all seriousness, because Jamaica is watching us. It is so unfortunate that the opposition has chosen to walk out on this issue. The opposition is led by an attorney at law who is fully aware that there is no ambiguity in the rule of sub judice. It is a rule that is essential in preventing interference in legal proceedings and preventing the risk of undermining the fairness of any trial or any matter that is before the court being adjudicated. But what will happen is that they will use it as a tool to attempt to cause persons looking on to think that there is an effort to block the motion. And that is what is unfortunate, the continuous effort to manipulate the minds of Jamaican people. And what I find disgusting is the discussions around integrity by persons who are willing to break down the integrity of this court proceedings for their own pursuit of power. In the pursuit of power, they are willing to breach, destroy, and cast away the rules, the standing orders, the law, anything that has to be done. Tear down people, mash up the country's reputation, all because of the pursuit of power. And we stand here in this honorable house, this high place, elected to serve the people, not to carry them over a cliff, not to manipulate their minds. And I can tell you right now that they're downstairs. I don't even have to look, because you can know the patterns. They are probably downstairs right now trying to utilize the media to make it appear that we don't want a motion. What we don't want is for you to interfere in court proceedings and cause the integrity of those proceedings to be damaged or destroyed. And the fact that the leader of the opposition, who is trained as counsel, is unable to understand that and chooses that to be the action of those he leads, speaks to Jamaica about how he would lead this country.
Well, that was Pernell Charles Jr. responding to the opposition leader and his members walking out of the parliament. Well, not shortly after, the opposition leader addressing...
They were not downstairs.
Not downstairs,
they were
outside,
just across the road.
Across the street.
At headquarters house.
Yes, exactly.
On the steps.
He said that he essentially read the motion that he intended to table in the House at that venue.
To move a no-confidence motion in Gordon House, in the House of Representatives. I was prevented from doing so on what I regard to be a spurious basis, a basis that cannot hold water. The basis that was put forward was that the matters on which my motion was based are now sub judice. In other words, because the Prime Minister has apparently sought judicial review of certain matters arising from what the Integrity Commission has decided in relation to his matter. However, my motion is not dealing with the substance of that report, but is dealing with his own conduct as Prime Minister. And I wish to read the motion now so you can hear it. Whereas there is a ministerial code of conduct in place from 2002 that governs the conduct of members of the cabinet, and whereas the Prime Minister did not inform the people of Jamaica that he was being investigated by the Integrity Commission from as far back as August 2023 for illicit enrichment. And whereas the concealment of this information by the Prime Minister is a breach of the Ministerial Code of Conduct that guided the Prime Minister in removing from office ministers serving in the cabinet over which he presided. And whereas the annual reports of the Integrity Commission for 22-23 and for 23-24 stated that several members of Parliament, initially 6 and then 8, were under investigation for illicit enrichment, but none had come forward to disclose that he or she was under investigation. And whereas the Integrity Commission's investigation report on the 17th September 2024 tabled in Parliament named the Prime Minister as being under investigation for illicit enrichment. And whereas the Prime Minister, as Chairman of Cabinet, instructed members of Cabinet not to divulge the name of any member under investigation for illicit enrichment, contrary to the spirit of the Ministerial Code of Conduct. And whereas the actions of the Prime Minister have caused and continue to cause severe damage to the trust necessary for good order and respect for public office, be it resolved that this Honourable House condemns the Prime Minister for not maintaining ethical standards of transparency and openness in government. Secondly, censures the Prime Minister for his acts of covering up and concealment of the names, including his own, of those members of the Cabinet and or Parliament of which he was and may still be aware, but has kept them in positions of influence in the Cabinet with the effect of further undermining public trust in the institutions of government. And declares that the actions of the Prime Minister have severely undermined his credibility and trustworthiness, and that he no longer enjoys the confidence of this House. That was the motion that was to be put forward today and hopefully debated next week. We did not want it debated the same day that it was tabled. The Prime Minister is not here in Jamaica. That would not be right or proper. However, we were not allowed to proceed with the tabling of the motion because the Speaker herself had removed herself because the matter affected her husband, and the Deputy Speaker ruled that the motion was improperly brought in breach of the standing orders, relying on the sub judice rule, and so the motion will not go forward. And we think that that is an abuse of the rules of Parliament, and no confidence motions have a very high place in our constitutional arrangements. If a no confidence motion is passed in Parliament, the Governor-General has to dissolve Parliament and call elections. So that is in section, I think, 64 of the Constitution, subsection 5. So for them to block the opposition from bringing a motion on the alleged basis that the matter is sub judice is really, in my view, a bad and sad day for our democracy. Again, it's an example of freedom of speech, freedom of association, our democratic principles being undermined by the misuse of power by the majority in Parliament. It's a very serious matter, and that is why we asked the media to come and hear what we had to say. Thank you.
Mark Golding on the steps of Headquarters House on Duke Street this afternoon after he and his opposition members walked out of Gordon House. Well, Pernell Charles Jr., who was principal in leading the charge from the government side in the House, responded to those comments from the opposition leader. Mr. Charles stood by his opinion that Golding was out of line with his actions. He's also accusing the opposition of acting in a deliberate manner to make headlines in the newspapers.
Jamaica is an organized society that abides by rules and laws. The sub judice rule is an important principle. It's a principle that prevents certain matters from being discussed or debated publicly, including in Parliament, while they are under consideration of the court. And in this matter, the sub judice rule, along with the standing orders of Parliament, prevent matters that are actively being considered by the court from being subject to any discussion or debate in our Parliament. And you have additional rules which also guide the operations of Parliament that make it clear that a motion that pertains to any issue that is before the court and is to be adjudicated upon should not be countenanced by way of tabling in Parliament. The Erskine May Parliamentary Practice Book is an authority on these matters, and it makes it clear there that the House has resolved that no matter awaiting or under adjudication by a court of law should be brought before it by way of motion or otherwise. These are things that are known to the leader of the opposition, and these are rules that are necessary to protect the integrity of judicial proceedings and to prevent any potential interference with the legal process. This attempt by the opposition was staged. It was simply a matter of catching headlines. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they did this again in an effort for them by any means possible to pursue power. While our Prime Minister is in India seeking investment and advancing the best interests of our country, this is what our opportunistic, power-hungry opposition can come up with. What a shame. I am confident that well-thinking Jamaicans will look on, they will assess it for themselves, and they will reject the move by the opposition to abuse the process of Parliament in a bid to achieve their own partisan objectives.
That was Pernell Charles Jr. Well, we also return now back to the Parliament, where Minister of Justice, that's Delroy Chuck, also says that in the way in which the motion was brought to the House by the opposition leader was a blatant attempt to ambush the Speaker of the House.
Madam Speaker, I'd just like to add, because it is quite clear that this motion that the leader of the House was bringing was not appropriate, having come here. To the best of my understanding, as you say, Madam Speaker, when you were sitting, and as member from Southwest St. Catherine pointed out, the motion must come to the clerk for you, Madam Speaker, to be able to assess whether or not it is appropriate. And I think, Madam Speaker, it was deliberate that it came just at the time the House is about to sit, expecting that you would sign off, and so that you would not have the opportunity to see if the motion was appropriate. So the idea of they sending it by email and then bringing it to the House just about the time when the House is sit was to ambush you, Madam Speaker. And I say, Madam Speaker, it is quite clear they intended to do that so they can walk out for a headline. And that is all I think, Madam Speaker, they hope to achieve.
Delroy Chuck, the Minister of Justice and MP for North East St. Andrew.
So Cliff, I went a little extra to look through the ministerial code of conduct that Mr. Golding referenced, and I assume he's referencing section 32 of said code of conduct tabled in 2002, which it says ministers are expected to order their affairs so that no conflict arises or is thought to arise between their private interests, financial or otherwise, and their public duties. They're expected to exercise good judgment on how best to proceed. Where there is doubt, it will almost always be better to relinquish or dispose of the interest. In accordance with the parliamentary acceptance of the Matalon report, ministers should submit appropriate cases to the Prime Minister for his decision. So I'm suggesting this, by failing to tell the people of Jamaica that ex-cabinet minister or etc. is under probe of illicit enrichment, they have failed in this in terms of putting their private interests above public affairs. I'm assuming is what Mr. Golding is suggesting.
Yes, but the Prime Minister, based on his application and position that was outlined by his attorneys, are challenging that he was found in no such position. Yes, and that is why, have this debate over how far do we go now? Because the Prime Minister has filed, an application, leave for an application for judicial review. And this is one of the grounds, one of the 69 grounds. He is arguing that, no, you have done me wrong. So let us see the judicial review process. 11 minutes going up to 8 o'clock. We have 11 minutes to go. And we're going to take your calls in the remaining 11 minutes on 876-630-9371 to 4. Or should we talk about what happened in Israel today, Siobhan? You follow these things.
In Israel, or more specifically, the broader area of Lebanon, Hezbollah,
the entire Middle East. You're quite right. I said Israel because Israel came under attack. By what, missiles?
Yes, 180 missiles.
Which was just about the same number that it came under attack in April.
Now, I understand that this was actually the largest amount of missiles they've been attacked in one single setting.
Yes. And for a moment today, and we were worried that it would be a hot night. Yes, but it's not over.
It's not over, but I think the reason specifically why Israel was given advance notice essentially by the United States that, hey, this missile strike is coming, is order to essentially allow them to not only prepare but also temper their response to that strike. Because there is a attempt by the US and other players to essentially allow Israel to continue its actions, but also making sure those actions are within a certain frame of no further escalation beyond what is already on, because their their advance into Lebanon, incursion into Lebanon, and the death of the Hezbollah leader
the killing.
We use the terms as we wish to use them.
Because we're talking Middle East politics.
Very well.
And language is very important.
Very well.
Yes.
Those actions are seen quite strongly in Iran, where they see their power essentially being undermined by those actions, and they are put in a position where they have to retaliate. They have no choice. If they are seen as weak in response to Israel's further incursions into what is essentially their territory, they have to respond.
Yeah.
And this is just essentially the US saying, yes, they're going to attack you. We are telling you when they're going to attack you. You are going to respond, yes, but please temper that response.
Yeah. Let us go back to October 7, when the terrorists...
When all this started.
Hamas, slaughtered 1,200, 1,400 young Israelis. That's when this latest chapter, kicked off, And since then, the unipolar superpower, the United States of America, led by President Biden, has been saying, we do not want a wider regional war. Israel should be proportionate in its response. We should do everything, to contain the crisis. Biden kept on saying for 2-3 months now, a ceasefire is imminent. And what has happened? Netanyahu is running the clock. Netanyahu knows the U.S. electoral timetable.
Yes.
He knows, yes, that he's calling the shots because Biden is not in control. Biden, the U.S. administration of Joseph R. Biden, has brought us here because he gave Netanyahu a blank check. A blank check, knowing fully well that Netanyahu has not necessarily the interest of the state of Israel, but his own personal interest, yes, to protect, to preserve, because of the criminal proceedings likely to be posited against him if he were to lose power. And this is Biden's war. This is Biden's disaster.
We agree there, Mr. Hughes. But the major part, because what many people now seem to be forgetting, that the initial concerns regarding Israel's conflict with Palestine was essentially what many people were arguing is unjust, inhumane. But now that it has spilled over into other territories such as Lebanon, which are proxies for Iran, you will find that the Biden administration will be less willing now to distance itself from Israel because Iran is considered to be the most dangerous power in the Middle East and the greatest founder of terrorism in the Middle East. And I cannot see a situation where the Biden administration could now suggest that we break ties with Israel.
They cannot. They cannot. And this is where he has been outfoxed by Netanyahu. Yeah, he has been outmaneuvered by Netanyahu because when he had the time, the moment to really leverage American power, what did he do? He gave Netanyahu a blank check. And you don't do that. Netanyahu is no fool. His popularity,
his political future is dependent
surging
on this war.
Exactly. And here we are now at a place where you have a lame duck U.S. president, an administration, that is up against it. You're now locked into a presidential election, a close one, very close. We don't know where this race is going to go.
But to be fair to the Biden administration, it's usually the standard procedure that this close to the actual date of an election, you tend not to make any major political decisions. In case.
But hold on. We're talking about October 7, a year ago.
Yes.
We're on October 1.
Yes.
Yeah, we're 6 days short of a full year. Yeah, the time to act has passed.
Long past.
And that's why he has to own it.
But the question is, though, is he going to essentially insulate his replacement in Kamala Harris from this situation? Because there's no way she can avoid questions on this topic.
She can't. But to be fair, yes, she wasn't calling the shots. It was President Biden who was calling the shots. He was the one who was blinking. He was the one, who was not prepared to confront Netanyahu and to say not a day more. Not one more.
But do you think Kamala Harris has the political strength to essentially suggest that she would take a different approach to this conflict than her predecessor?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know, because vice presidents are in the room, but they don't make the decisions. Yeah? So I see some people, she's going to be caught up. She has to take some of the blame because she was Biden's vice president. But if we're going to be fair, she does not make the decision. Biden does. And remember Biden's strength as president of America, he's possibly the most experienced when it comes to foreign affairs and Middle Eastern politics. Yeah? And he allowed this man, Netanyahu, to outfox them.
I just think it's I won't call it unfortunate, but the very tangled relationship that Israel has with the United States, and particularly the powerful strength of the Jewish lobby in the United States. It cannot be ignored.
It cannot be ignored, and you will never be able to ignore that. But the reality is, after October 7, when Israel responded as it had to protect it, no country is going to stand by and have any power. Yeah, kill 1,400 of your people and don't respond. But what do we have since the past year? An Israeli response that has killed 41,000 people. 41,000 people. And you have the United States, the lone power, with the ability to really say to Israel, stop. Didn't do that. And what they have done, Israel today is more unpopular than it was in the immediate aftermath of October 7. Yeah? Israel standing in the world because people looking on. You can't be a human being and feel comfortable with what Israel and Netanyahu have done for the last year. You just can't be, as people who support Israel's right to exist, as I do, yeah, and support the Palestinians' right to self-determination and for a two-state solution, I cannot be comfortable with what Israel has done. That's how we're going to leave it. Yeah? We're going to watch the vice presidential debate now between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. Yeah? I want to say thanks to our producer, Miss Sonia Stewart, our technical operator, Mr. Andrew Anderson. Yes, and to all of our YouTubers, thank you so much. Yes, to the members of the news and production team, thank you. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor. Good night.
From time immemorial, it's been